Hello, you guys. Hey, TT.
Hey there.
Oh, can't accidentally showed my pants as soon as we started. Lord help me. How are you this evening? I know it's storming there. I'm worried about you for real with the storm, though.
I'm good. It hasn't started just yet. It's the wind's blowing. I don't know. It's going on until 10 o'clock. So I don't know. Maybe it'll go past. I don't know.
Yeah, that worries me if they say worse than last time, because last time was awful. A lot of people lost their lives. That's scary.
Yeah, I sent Nate what my weatherman had put on Facebook earlier. He said he's been doing this for 30 years and everybody needs to pray that it's one of the worst he's seen coming. So I feel like it's going to come, even though it's not doing anything now. I feel like something's coming.
Now, do you have like where you live? Is it all flat or is there?
No, it's very hilly. It's very hilly.
And like right around your house, is there like something to break? Because I know they say if there's like a little bit of hill right around you, that maybe it will break the
my house from here. Yeah, my house actually sits down into like my driveway goes downhill, so I'm down in and there's plenty of hollers and gullies around me. So
yeah, good. All right, well, let me say hello to you guys in the chat. Hey, Eris.
Yes.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, everybody.
Rena. Hey, Modine. Modine said, "Was that my lazy eye in the beginning intro?" It was an evil eye. Thank you, and it was not mine. Modine. I put it up on the screen, and then he put "LOL Alex" in the chat. Tony. Hey, Tony. Hey, Amelia. Tony asked you whereabouts you're at.
I am in Mississippi. We just had really bad storms last weekend?
I think it was last weekend. Hey, Vanessa, there was like over 20 some that passed away.
Oh, yeah, right? There were 24, I believe. It's going to take Rolling Fork and Amory years to rebuild. It's horrible.
Oh, my God. That is horrible. Hey, Tiff. Hey, Brandy. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Purple People Eater. So, hey, Country Christian, we're going to talk about Stephen Smith. We had planned this, for the last few weeks, really, since the Murdaugh trial ended. We kind of talked about it when you started hearing that they were opening this back up. But then today there was some big news. So we're going to go through. I found an article that kind of goes through all the details. We have a lot to look at, actually. And then we'll get into the new stuff after we kind of go through the basics. I'm keeping all of those in the path of these storms in my prayers. If y'all need anything, please reach out. Oh, it's scary.
It is.
Let's see here. Let me pull up my little messenger box. Hey, Punksy. Thank you, Modine. All right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how close we are to getting Lori Vallow and Letitia to those trials. And I'm starting to panic because I don't know how, like, in my mind, because I want to keep up with both and I don't want to like half-ass keep up with it. And I don't know how you do that, but got any ideas, TT, for me?
No, it looks like there's a wrench thrown in all of them. Sarah is, poor Sarah.
Yeah. I'm glad that got pushed back. I know Jen was like, but also maybe it's a blessing in disguise because it's so much for us to keep up with at one time.
I know.
I tried to get Alex on board with the Murdaugh trial, but she was like, nope. There is, yes, Rainbow Mom, it is. There's something about me, like, even with this, I'm interested in this, but I have a lot on my mind the last few days. And if I'm not like really interested and invested, I can't remember the details.
That's how I am. If my heart isn't in it, I just can't. I'm not even going to try because I can't commit to it.
But isn't it weird how, like, if it's something that you are into, that you can like soak up every single little detail and remember it all and want to know more?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab. We have that one. I went and grabbed the pictures off that guy's Facebook. The one, the one person of interest, in case he deleted his Facebook before we went live.
Good deal.
But we'll start with this People article. It's funny you had the same one pulled up.
I do. I've got that and the Fox News article pulled up.
Okay, awesome. And then with those trials, what I think I'm going to do, you guys, is next week starting Monday. This is a commitment, but I'm thinking I'll do like an 8:00 show Monday through Friday every day, just to go, because I'm not going to stream them. Jen's going to stream them, Jen Lou, and other people will too. So I thought I could do like a recap, maybe take notes of the biggest things that stand out to me during the day, and then we can come on and everybody kind of go through it. Even if you didn't watch it, you could be interested, or if you did, you could be interested. So that's my plan. Another outbreak in political indictment. TT, now I won't get into politics, and I know me and you kind of are not exactly on the same line with some of that stuff, which I don't care. I don't need to be on the same line with my friends. But what do you think? Can you believe that they indicted Trump?
Part of me can, because he's running again. And so, I mean, the girl, that's just a mess. I'm a huge, well, let me say I was a huge Trump supporter, but I'm ready for DeSantis. I'm bring him on. But yeah, I can't believe that I can't believe how many charges is what shocks me the most.
Oh, I didn't hear. How many is there?
It was several. I don't know the exact number, but it was several.
Oh my God!
Or
a
maybe it
found baby Talon. Oh no!
Oh no!
Mm.
Maybe maybe it said that they're expecting several or something like, or many. I can't remember what I read, but I just thought it was going to be that one. I didn't know they were even expecting any more.
That's crazy. See, for me, I have like a love-hate for Trump. I don't like him very much. I didn't vote for him, but there are things about him I like, and I know why people like him, right? Because he's not your typical politician. He hasn't been doing this for 50 years. He kind of tells you like it is. There are things about him that I like. I just don't like this at all, because I feel like, look what happened on January 6th. I'm not trying to have a war or all the like back and forth, us versus them. I don't know why it's necessary. Like if he killed somebody or something, yeah, hold him accountable. But hush money for a prostitute, we all know about it. And it's like, I just feel like it's going to start huge fights in between us that I don't want. So
well, I think he's wonderful for this country. I mean, as far, because he doesn't take any shit. He just he doesn't let anybody push us around, and he is for the people. But my only issue with him at this point is, the reason I say I'm over it and I'm ready to move on to DeSantis is because they're just not going to let him make it, and it's just too much of a distraction on us, and it, because they're going to keep doing things, and it's just a distraction. We need to get back to taking care of this country, and the only way that we're going to do that is if he is not in the picture, because people hate him. They hate him. The government hates him, and they're just not going to let him make it. So let's move on.
Him and Biden, both of them need to go. They need to go enjoy the last years of their lives, their families, and give us somebody new with new ideas who's young enough to understand. I don't know. I just think that we need more new people. I like there was a guy who ran on the Democrat side last time who was a businessman similar to Trump. That's the kind of people that I'm looking to see. I want to see new. I really think, a lot of the people in politics, they just don't care about us, and that's really not so what's the point? But okay. All right, you guys. Well, I guess we'll get started. I'm going to kind of go through this for people who haven't kept up with this case and don't know all the details. And this way that we can all catch up. And then, after that, we'll talk about the new things. So Stephen, he was 19 years old. This happened in 2015. Now, it was initially said that this was a hit and run. And I think that there was a lot of talk because it happened very close to Murdaugh property. TT, will you tell me? Because I read conflicting reports. Like some said it was on their property, like right off their property. Some said it was 3 miles away.
What?
But it was close.
I was thinking
Stephen
it
was
was
hit.
like, are you talking about where they found Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was like
Where they
8 or
found him
10.
not hit, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like 8 or 10 miles away, wasn't it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I thought I saw 3, and then maybe this will be one of the things, but I know it's regardless. It was very close to Murdaugh property, and their name has been mentioned many times all throughout this investigation. His family finally paid for him to be exhumed to get another autopsy right around the time that Alex Murdaugh's trial was ending, and then police announced that it was a murder investigation. So we're going to go through all the details, but that's kind of the gist of it. Let me see.
So I just looked it up, and it says it was 15 miles from their property.
15 miles? Okay. Yeah. Interesting. It was at least a few miles away. I think you can take that road to their property. Okay. All right. So I guess I'll read to you guys. It's weird to do with someone up here, but just interrupt me if you want to say something, and I'll try to get through. Okay. So Stephen Smith's death has been considered mysterious since he was found dead in the middle of a rural South Carolina road in 2015. Let me turn this off. And questions have only intensified since the 2021 murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, a mother and son from a prominent South Carolina family. Smith, a 19-year-old nursing student from Hampton, South Carolina, was found dead in the early morning hours of July 2015, July 8th. He was discovered lying in the middle of a dark country road 3 miles from where his car had run out of gas, with deep gashes in his forehead. Several local news outlets reported authorities initially thought Smith had been shot, but his death was later ruled a hit and run. Now, he only had injuries to like his head and his shoulder was out of socket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crazy that they would think even that he was hit by a car, but just the head injuries and the shoulder.
Yeah, he had there's a lot of between the pathologist or the coroner and the investigators, it was believed that he had a gunshot wound in his head.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard earlier too. Like they at first believed that, and then all of a sudden switched it to hit and run. But like I said, it's hard for me for some of these details to stick. Like all day long, I've been, looking on and off, and yesterday too, and certain things have stuck, and certain things have not. So I think that if I get something wrong, just correct me because I definitely don't want to do that.
You're good.
Okay. Let me see.
It's with the gunshot wound. There was some contention between the way I understand it. There was contention between the pathologist and the investigator. The investigator says that he believed that it is a gunshot wound. The pathologist says there was no bullet fragments. She said it wasn't a gunshot wound. So I don't think the investigators ever changed their mind. They just couldn't agree. And of course, the pathologist has the last say to be able to rule.
Okay, interesting. And then Pointer Lover says all of a sudden they have 2 persons of interest. That is interesting, but all of a sudden they announced that right after his body was exhumed that it was actually being investigated as a homicide. And that's another thing that I kind of got confused about. Have they been looking at it as a homicide since 2021? Like one article I read said that, but they just hadn't made it public. And then they made it public now. I don't know. I'm a little confused with that, but let's just keep reading. And then, so Stephen's mom, never believed that he was hit by a car. And she hired an attorney, of course, and his name's Mike Hemlope. And he said with People magazine in 2022, he did an interview and said, whoever did this to Stephen should go to prison. So his case was initially investigated by the South Carolina Highway Patrol before going cold in 2016. In that investigation, the Murdaugh name, a powerful local family known for their longstanding law firm, was mentioned dozens of times as possibly being connected connected to Smith's death. However, no member of the Murdaugh family was ever questioned in his death, and no charges were ever filed. I think I saw it was over 40 times. In June of 2021, nearly 6 years after Smith was found dead, South Carolina's they did announce it in 2021. See, they announced that they were opening an investigation into his death. The South Carolina, actually, let me stop guessing and just go. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division revealed in a statement that the investigation was launched based upon information gathered during the course of the double murder investigation of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. However, SLED did not specify what information it was. We've been waiting on this forever, his mom said. Stephen's always been put on the back burner. It's like nobody's looking for answers. Stephen had no justice. Oh, my God. Since the investigation, I know, I cannot imagine, because think about it, and nobody's listening to you, and you're being told it was an accident. Oh my God, that would be frustrating.
And could you imagine being a family of that doesn't have money, going up against a family like the Murdaughs, because that's what it's just, I can't even imagine.
Oh, Jen says it was investigated as a homicide, although it was not officially ruled as such until recently. That makes sense. So in 2021, they started looking at it again. And then right after the trial, hey, Kokomo, announced that it was a homicide investigation. Let me see, back to my tab. So she says, I just want to know what happened to my son. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get justice for my son. I'm really curious why the Murdaughs were mentioned so many times, especially it looks like even these two persons of interest, they're not Murdaughs. So I would love to know more details on that. SLED officials have revealed they did not need to exhume Stephen's body to convince them his death was a homicide. However, they will be present and participate in any exhumation of Stephen's body to gather more evidence. From crime scene details to the latest in the investigation, here is everything to know about it from 2015. So he's very good-looking young man, cute young man.
Yep.
Hey, no conspiracy theories. Okay, so just again, interrupt me if you want me to stop. Smith was found dead on July 15. In the early morning hours, he was found in the middle of a dark Hampton County road. He had a 7 to 5-inch gash on the right side of his forehead, as well as a particularly dislocated right shoulder and cuts and bruises on his right hand. His car was located 3 miles away with the gas cap unscrewed and his wallet still inside. According to the Hampton County Guardian, he was on his way home from a night class from college where he was studying nursing when his car ran out of gas on Highway 601. Authorities believe he then began walking home along Sandy Run Road, a claim his family disputes. Stephen would have never been walking in the middle of the roadway. He was skittish. Smith's mother said Sandy later reiterated the same point to the Hampton County Guardian. I just don't believe my son would have been walking in the middle of the road like that, she said. That's kind of interesting with the versus walking along the side of the road, because he was found dead on the yellow lines, you guys, which TT, I know you know. What do you think about that?
I know you haven't shown it yet, and we'll get to that, but it goes back to the bottom of the shoes for me. He had that dried mud on the bottom of the soles of his shoes. Mm-hmm. If you're walking down the highway, especially 3 miles from his car, meaning he had been walking for a while, and even if he's walking on the side of the road, you're not going to be off in the grass. You're going to walk on the edge of the asphalt, because you're not going to walk in, especially at night when you can't see. That mud and that dried mud would not be on the soles of his shoes. So I have questions. Why is there mud on the soles of his shoes?
Well, I can't believe, I think that was so brilliant of you to even notice that. And that's a great point, because if you're walking on asphalt for 3 miles, yeah. Oh, let me see. Oldest son just called. I'll catch the replay. My son is headed into that storm line in his big rig. Oh, no. Okay, Rainbow Mom. I hope everything's okay. I
What
remember,
happened?
though, I would sometimes walk in the middle of the road. He's headed right into the middle of the storm in his truck, his semi.
Oh no. Jen, I'm surprised you didn't already know about or pick up on that. I figured you probably had spotted that a mile away.
That's what when TT messaged me about it. She's like, "I'm sure you already noticed," and I was like, "No, girl, I hadn't noticed that. Like, good catch."
So, so that just tells me, or it makes me wonder, what was he in a different place, and then, I mean, because it goes to the theory that he was dumped there. He was killed somewhere and then dumped there. Why does his shoes have mud on them? Like I said, especially if he'd been walking for 3 miles, doesn't make sense to me. The math ain't mathing.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It really doesn't. But I don't know, like the middle of the road thing, as far as walking in the middle, I hear Mom's point, because most people will walk on the side of the road, typically the right side of the road, or some people might walk against traffic. But I've walked in the middle of the road. If it's nighttime and you want to be able to see cars coming from either side, I don't think that's super rare. I don't believe he was walking, but I
I
still
don't.
think that's not really science, that we can say.
And I mean, she knows her son, and what kind of, I mean, you just aren't going to walk in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. I mean, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't think anybody with any good sense would.
Well, yeah, I don't know. If he was skittish, like she said, that makes me think he'd be kind of afraid to do it. And if so, that he'd be extra cautious with cars coming. And when you're walking at night, you can see a car coming forever away. I mean, you see their lights,
Right.
long before they make it to you. Oh, Crime Story Diva, I hope everything's okay. Let's see. I have said this on every panel that has talked about Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith's stepfather is my aunt and other family members' landscape man. They never thought the Murdaughs were involved. Wow, Bodine. And thank you for sharing that. Bodine, that's just because she's in the same area as Trent Lehrkamp. She knows, like, the area. And so that's interesting that you kind of know about this one, too. Stepfather was very chatty. They have always known who was involved. Wow, or thought they did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. Have you? I got some information on that about one of the boys, but let's just go. Let's move along in the direction we're going, because I'll get ahead of
Okay.
myself.
Hey, I'm like, all right, tell it, girl. I want to know too. I'll just try to keep going, and then we'll go to that next. That'll be the next thing. Authorities initially thought he suffered a gunshot wound. A detailed timeline of events immediately following his death done by Fitz News revealed that authorities initially thought he had the gunshot wound. Let me go. His case file stated that at the scene of the incident, the Hampton County coroner referred to Smith's head wound as a gunshot wound, pointed to the bullet's entry point, and referred to the death as a homicide. The deputy coroner present, Kelly Green, also verbally affirmed that it was a homicide. However, a search for cartridge cases on the morning of Stephen's death turned up empty, according to the case file. The officers returned to the scene the following day to hunt for any evidence, but there was nothing. His autopsy also found no bullet or fragments. His death was ruled a hit and run in 2015. The autopsy, which was conducted July 8th, 2015 at 12:30 p.m., found that he died from blunt head trauma from a motor vehicle crash. In light of historical information in the autopsy findings, it is the opinion of the pathologist that the decedent died as the result of blunt head trauma sustained in a motor vehicle crash, in which the decedent was a pedestrian struck by a vehicle. Officers were apparently skeptical of the hit and run ruling from the beginning, according to the case file. Dr. Presnell reportedly told an officer that no glass fragments or any other evidence from a motor vehicle were found on Stephen. A search of the scene also found no debris or tire marks consistent with a crash. He was found in his loosely tied shoes, still on his feet, and his clothes appeared untouched. Let's see. The coroner told the state police investigator he disagreed with the autopsy findings. So he's the one who was at the scene and claimed that he thought it was a gunshot wound. He no longer works for them, but he said that he had doubts about the hit and run to Fox News back in 2021. He said nothing about this case from the very beginning pointed towards it being a hit and run. As any investigator, you go off of evidence. There was no evidence that pointed to this being a hit and run or a vehicle even being involved in it. It looked like it was more staged, like possibly the body had been placed in the roadway. In March 2023, his family announced they raised enough money to have him exhumed and get a new autopsy. They said, we need a new unbiased look at Stephen's body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. There was no debris in the road and his injuries were not consistent with a hit and run. The Murdaugh name, there's the 40 times. It was mentioned more than 40 times in the investigation, but no Murdaugh family member was questioned. That's bizarre, TT.
It is.
I wish we had the transcripts. Hey, Sonny. Yeah, I wish we had the transcripts.
And, Randy, Alex's brother, offered to represent them, the Smith family. He called, I believe, the mother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's that right here, free of charge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is very weird. The Murdaugh family was first mentioned in relation to his death when a member of the Smith family told the police that Randy Murdaugh had contacted them on the day of his death. Wow. And said he would take on Smith's case free of charge. I didn't see that. I looked at this. I read this when I found the article, but just like quickly breezed through it because I found this right before we started because I was looking up like, who is Stephen Smith? I was trying to find an article that would give us like just the details of him. Sometimes with cases, you'll find, especially if a case gets popular, they'll do articles just on like 10 things about this person or something like that. I was kind of looking to see if there was any of those. And then I found this and I was like, it has a lot. So we'll just kind of scroll through this and it's a clear, easy way to understand what happened.
It is. They covered everything in this article.
Mm-hmm. In the same interview, the Smith family member told the police that the first time she went to the store following Smith's death, people approached her and alleged that Buster Murdaugh, Alex's oldest son and a classmate of Smith's, was responsible. Fitz reported that neither the offer from Randy nor the tip about Buster were included in the written case notes. From that point on, the Murdaugh family name was brought up more than 40 times. More than half of the people interviewed during the investigation mentioned hearing rumors of Buster's possible involvement. In March of 2023, Buster publicly denied having anything to do with it. He said, "I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother." He says, "This has gone on for far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen in his death are false. I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family." So then we get into the theories. So Stephen was, he had a boyfriend, and I noticed today, I messaged TT and I was like, are there rumors of, what did I say, of him working as an escort? Or was he an escort? Because I was seeing things about Craigslist ads and some escort company and some different things like this. But we'll just say this. He was 19 years old. You know how people are at that age. He was little promiscuous. You know what I mean? Thank you, T-Mac. That's sweet. Yeah, so that's normal, I think. But
so he was he had a one night stand with I guess you would classify them as an escort, one of the people he met on Craigslist. In fact, he last talked to this guy 30 minutes before his body was found. So it was a recent, he was actively involved in whatever he was doing.
Now, is this the guy that they call his one night stand, but also his boyfriend? That guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that's what I thought. I seen about him. This Damn ring light, man. Ah. Okay. So I guess there were rumors that Buster and Stephen were together. Police said they had heard the rumor of that. Another individual told police that certain young men were riding down Highway 601 the night Smith died, saw him broken down, and turned around. They then stuck something out the window, and the individual stated it ended up hitting Smith and killing him. The individual also told police in a face-to-face meeting that one of the men in the car was reportedly Buster, and that all the information he provided was only hearsay. Despite the rumors, police never named anyone as a suspect, well, until now, or a person of interest anyway. I don't remember exactly what they called it today, but additionally, the accusations made in those interviews were never proven, and authorities, this was before they called his death a murder. I said authorities have never called it a murder. Sandy Smith asked the FBI for help in her son's case and accused authorities of a cover-up. In September 2016, that's his mom, she wrote a letter to the FBI asking for help. She says, "My family is in desperate need of your help. My 19-year-old son, Stephen Nicholas Smith, was murdered on July 8th in Hampton County, South Carolina. It has been apparent from the first week of this investigation that authorities are covering up critical evidence, and we no longer know who to trust." She then went on to describe several issues she's had with the investigation, and she also disputed the autopsy claim he was hit by a car. She said, "This has been deliberately derailed. We need someone to hold investigators accountable." She wrote letters to the governor and to Nancy Grace. And Nancy Grace is on it now, because that's some of the, when I was doing my research, I found a lot from her talking about this. She's been talking about it a lot lately. Hey, I've learned a lot. Oh my God, that is so sad. Have you been watching about that baby, TT? In a gator's mouth? Oh my God almighty, what?
No, I haven't. It's horrible.
Oh my God. So this little 2-year-old baby was found, or no, he was missing. I'm sorry. His mother was found, and she was murdered. And then he was missing, and his dad reportedly had cuts on his arms and things like that. Oh my God, in a gator's mouth. Mel, at the end of this live, let's go look at that after we talk about all of this.
Yeah.
It's going to probably be a bit, but yeah, I want to just check it out. Oh God, that's awful.
That's awful.
Mm-hmm. It is. Ugh. I was hoping he would be out there somewhere, but I just had a feeling with mom passed away and then they had seen dad and dad didn't have him, you know, like when someone saw him with his arms all cut up. And, yeah, I just had a bad feeling. So let's see. An organization called Standing for Stephen was founded in his memory in October 2021 with the initial goal of helping the family raise money for a headstone. Oh my God, that is so sad. It says, my son will be 18 in November, the person who organized it. She said no family, no community, no friends, no one had come to help her try to get a headstone. This is about a child that deserves to be memorialized and commemorated, and a mother to have support that she hadn't had. The group raised more than $40,000 for his headstone. And Andrew, this person also started a petition for a South Carolina bill for a hate crime bill. Smith was gay, although there has been no evidence to indicate the death was a hate crime. But beyond the financial impact, Andrew shared that the outpouring support around the world has been especially meaningful to Stephen's mom. The Smith family believes justice was served when Alex was found guilty. Was you going to say something, TT?
Oh, I was listening.
Okay. Okay.
I was getting sidetracked by watching I was getting sidetracked by reading the comments about that baby. That's just horrible.
Oh my God. It is horrible. Yes, Michelle. But police didn't exhume his body. The mom did. And right after that is when it was announced that it was being looked at as a homicide. That's confirmed. Oh my God.
Yeah, she raised a lot of money to do a private exhumation.
Well, good.
An autopsy.
I'm glad that people helped her, and she was able to. So Smith's family lawyer does believe the death was a hate crime. He said it could be a bunch of thug kids decide, hey, we're going to beat up the gay kid or somebody. Now, I can tell you, coming from the South, and sometimes you will, I don't know, you will come across a certain kind of man that I could almost see doing these kind of things, like that manly man, like the mountain man type.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And especially if there was ever some kind of secret, I don't know, the kind of secrets and different things that can be interwoven into that stuff. Yeah, it's very different, like down in the South versus, out in California, though it's just the truth. And it's sad, but it's just the truth. Stephen had told his mother that he was dating somebody of prominence. He was very secretive about his lifestyle. He wasn't secretive about the fact that he was gay, but he respected the boundaries of the people who he had relationships with. Okay, so now let's go to our next one. Let me see. Should I go through the newest thing from today first, or the crime scene photos? And I have Shanley Painter went down on the area he was found, and I saved that. We're gonna look at that too.
Maybe do the photos, or I don't know. However you want to do it, it'd be.
Well, we can look at them, but you guys, I'm just gonna tell you before we do. Actually, I should. Well, yeah, here are some of the crime scene photos that have been released. Trigger warning, because they are, it's tough stuff to see. And you guys know I don't love to do trigger warnings. We're a true crime channel, but this is even extra tough to see than what we're used to hearing and talking about, because it's blurred. So, but still. Hey, Candace, I have a theory, and I don't think they will like it. I'd love to hear it, Candace. Thank you, Miss Crazy Mama.
But see, I would think, after what I've dug into on this, I am inclined to believe that it was a hit and run, and I'll tell you why when we get to that part. But this right here has me puzzled. If it wasn't for this, I would 100% believe hit and run. Why does he have dried mud on the bottom of his feet?
So you think it's a hit and run? That's interesting. I didn't even know that.
Oh, I do.
Hey, Melissa. Oh, wow. Okay. But you got a point about that, because I'm sorry. Look at the bottom of those shoes. If you walk 3 miles on this asphalt right here that he's on, obviously you can see it. I don't believe there'd be any of that.
Yeah, it makes me believe that he was, put there, because I have no logical explanation for him still having dried mud on his feet after walking that far.
I don't either. I really don't. Okay, let's see. I can't believe you think it was a hit and run. Here's his shorts. It says no oil transfer. I wonder if that's a common thing to see on the clothing of someone who's been hit. And it's blurred out, but you can see his legs, and his feet in this picture are how they were positioned in this. He's right in the middle of the road. He's actually just slightly over from the line. And I'm not going to stay on that too long, you guys. I don't want to, keep it. We'll look at some of the other ones too.
But the positioning is odd.
Let me go back. It is odd for being hit.
Yeah.
Let me go to this one. I don't know. It is weird. And I wonder, was it said that maybe, did any cars come through there after? Like maybe hit him? I don't know. Because of all the blood on the road? Oh, welcome, Maria. Thank you.
Strange.
Sarah, no, I don't think so. I don't think there is any actual solid evidence. Not that I've seen. And now we're going to talk about, there were 2 suspects or persons of interest named today. When we get through these pictures, we will go through that article. And Truth Teller found one of their Facebooks. I've got some of his pictures saved in case he takes it down. The other one's Facebook is already gone. So this was his car, and you can see the gas thing is open and the cap is off. As if, I don't know. If you run out of gas, you don't typically do that till you come back with gas. Miss Jinlu, I sent her the link and told her to come up if you have anything you want to add. Hey!
Hi. I wasn't going to come up because you guys were doing such a great job, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But then you showed that picture of him in the road, and I couldn't not come up because.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Thank you. I'm glad you sent me the link because look at the way he was laid and look at the way he's laying in that road. To me, it has always looked like, I don't know how another way to describe it, but when you see the picture or the video of a man carrying his wife over the threshold with his arms underneath her knees, under her legs, the way that they get scooped. And that's the way he looks like he was laid.
It does, doesn't it? I didn't think about that.
See, this is why we're the threesome y'all didn't know you wanted until you got it. Because TT came with the mud, Jen Lu comes with the bridegroom analogy. Allie comes with the articles and the crime scene pictures where everything is at. See?
Well, we think better together.
Which TT.
We do. We do.
Which TT found me these because I had the crumbs. I had some of them, but the way that I found them, they were not individualized and not the one of him either. TT sent me those before we started. She found them.
I can't believe she found them. I looked for those. The only time I've ever seen him that, and I'm glad you found that picture, TT, because the only place I've ever seen his body was in Low Country. That's the only documentary that had it. And the minute I saw it, I was like, it looks like somebody scooped him up and carried him and laid him there. That's what it looked like to me. Always.
It definitely does. That's a good point. Modine, and I come with the illegal paraphernalia. Dear
Modine, what am I going to do with you?
Modine, have you not been watching our shows? You don't just be confessing. What I teach you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it does look like that with his knees, though. That's something now I'm not going to get out of my mind. Especially
you won't be able to get it out of your mind.
Oh, that poor kid.
Now.
Man. Now, what do you guys think about this? Because look, when I run out of gas, I'm not typically undoing this until I'm putting the gas back in my car. That doesn't
right. And where you, and how would you be purchasing the gas when your dadgum wallet is in the car?
Yep. Yeah, I've read that. His wallet and his phone, right?
No, his phone was in his pocket.
Was his car something else that was with his
car
wallet?
keys? Okay, the car keys and his phone were in his pockets. And that phone is pristine. Like it is a new phone. But let me just say this. If you get hit by a car, listen, I have dropped my phone from like 2 inches off of the floor. And and I have a case and it still gets a little cracked. That thing looks brand new. Doesn't even look like anybody's ever used it, honestly. It's in pristine condition for being hit by a vehicle.
You're right. And my question too is, why does he not have more trauma to the torso area? Why is it in the head? You would think with a vehicle, I mean, it would probably get your head too, but it would definitely get your torso area.
Well, yeah, you'd have road rash. I mean, let's be honest. You're moving and you're going to continue to be moving until something stops you. And it's not like when you hit the asphalt, you come to an immediate halt. You sort of skid. That's how you get that road rash. And he had none of that.
Right.
And his clothing isn't even torn.
Nope.
Typically, you would see some tears.
Ava, how does one even check for an empty tank that way? I don't think you do. But Melissa said, why do you, and I want to hear what you guys think about this. Why do you ladies think they would name 2 other people of interest?
Oh, I'm going to get to that.
Okay. All right. I'll get ready and pull up. I think this might be one of the last pictures. When people wearing loosely tied shoes get hit by a car, they come out of the shoes. The position is also weird, and the lack of other injuries is also suspect.
You know, I covered Darrell Brooks, just a little bit of his trial. Okay.
Oh God.
I watched it, but I just covered a little bit of the trial. And one of the pictures that I saw was from the parade. And, there were shoes without feet in them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I remember very distinctly the officers that got up there and the witnesses and some of the victims that got up there and testified about what they saw and what exactly happened. And that's why when I saw Stephen's shoes, I was like, that's not right. That's not how that works. It's science.
You're right. I actually know exactly. I watched that. So I didn't watch the trial as closely as like the events unfolding. I remember when the videos were released and watching all of that and seeing these people gathered around, children, like this little girl who had gotten hit, and there were shoes laying out in the middle of the road. I remember that.
Yep.
Announcement today that there was 2 kids that were driving home and they thought they might hit something and went on home, and the one kid told his brother that was the end of it. I don't buy it. Okay, well, here's the article. I'll read it real fast and then we'll talk about these people.
Hey.
Wait. What in the world? I don't know what the hell that was, y'all.
First the pants and now this. What you doing, Allie?
Yeah, no, my pants. I gotta show you now because
they're so cute. I saw their little stripies. They look adorable.
They're little tie-dye sweats.
Oh my God, I love them.
I've got them on with a dress.
You look adorable.
And as soon as I was like, I just won't show my pants. And then as soon as I came on, I accidentally had my knee up.
We were talking about it backstage, and I was so tickled at her. I was laughing my ass off, and she's like, I'm going to go ahead and sit down. I'm not going to show my pants. And then I'll be damned, she gets on live, and the first thing she does is show her pants.
Oh my gosh.
Jen, do you remember when COVID started? There was like this news guy. It was huge news everywhere. He stood up in his boxers on accident, or
yes.
I was telling Titi about that. Thank you, Corinne.
So funny.
Okay. All right, let me read through this real quick, and then I can't wait to hear what you guys think about
So you're going to hear the bombshell in this article right here.
Okay.
Bombshell report names persons of interest in his killing. So, South Carolina authorities have zeroed in on 2 persons of interest in the 2015 homicide of Stephen Smith, who was found dead in the middle of the road miles from Alex Murdaugh's former hunting estate. Rumors have swirled that the Murdaughs were somehow involved, and the name of the once powerful legal dynasty is referenced dozens of times in the original Highway Patrol report. But the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division has identified Patrick Wilson and Sean Connolly as persons of interest, neither of whom are Murdaughs, according to the local news site. SLED didn't immediately return a request for comment. Wilson and Connolly could not be immediately reached. Go ahead. Was you going to say something?
Yeah. Patrick Wilson was named early on in the investigation. And there's an interview with his stepfather, I think it was.
That's it. And right there. Yeah.
And he was the stepfather, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, was encouraged to tell his story by none other than one Randy Murdaugh.
Well, the story is from the stepfather is that his stepson told him that they struck Stephen and the vehicle. Connolly was driving the vehicle when it struck Stephen, and it killed him. And so my question is if this was told to investigators, why was the case closed? I mean, if this was if his stepfather said this back then, why are we here now? Why is this not already resolved?
So it says at 5 months after the death, Wilson's stepfather, Daryl, allegedly called investigators with a tip. His stepson, he said, told him that Connolly was driving a vehicle when it struck and killed Stephen Smith. They were teenagers at the time. He's Stephen. Wait. SLED opened homicide investigation. Let me see if there was anything else from that. Speculation raged in the wake of Alex's conviction for double murder. The local news site also published Highway Patrol investigators' initial 2015 investigators with Smith's mom, his twin sister, and Mark Bighart. This is the guy who we were talking about was a one-night stand or boyfriend. And even here it says allegedly had a one-night stand, and Smith's then boyfriend. Wait. A man who is that the same person? That's what that's confused me. Okay. I read it as if it was when I read this earlier.
The person that Stephen allegedly had this one night stand in the car they found, or was it the car? Yes, the car. Sandy, his mom, found a gate pass in the car. And they did interview this gentleman. Now, Mark Bighart says that he was Stephen Smith's boyfriend. And they did interview him back in 2015. And Stephen's sister, Stephanie, his twin sister, said that was not his boyfriend. And so did Sandy Smith. They both said that they'd never believed that was his boyfriend. And Stephanie told in her interview, she talks about, I guess it's Mark, coming to Stephen's wake and asking some off questions. They were off to her, and he was just awkward, and it was an awkward exchange, and then she never saw him again.
Weird. So wait a minute. Okay. When I read it earlier, it confused me because I was like, his boyfriend or a one night stand. Like, I don't know. I just was not like, I don't know. Today I was not absorbing information the way I would have liked to when you know what I mean? Some days you just, right. I don't know. It's weird. But, oh, wow. Okay.
And also with Mark Bighart, he is also the person that has been interviewed by another YouTuber. And in that interview, he says that he's the one that made the allegation that Stephen was an escort. Now, Stephanie, this other YouTuber plays part of Stephanie's interview that pertains to like Craigslist. And to me, this is just my opinion after I heard it, and I listened to it multiple times. To be quite honest with you, first of all, it's a clip, but the context is there. But I just want that out, just full disclosure. It's a clip, but she never actually affirms or denies that he was an escort, because you can use back then you could use Craigslist for all kinds of things, not just that. Right. It did have like an actual dating component to it. And when she said he put himself out there, which that is not, I don't know, that doesn't strike me as quote unquote escort. To me, it sounds like he was a teenage boy looking to date. That's normal stuff. Right. It wasn't anything, and the detective says, well, I'm talking about not just, dates, but like for money exchanging. And what she says is, I know what you're talking about, but that's how it ends. There's no her saying specifically and directly that that's what her brother was up to.
Okay. Well, here's some of that. It says Bighart, that guy, at one point suggested an escort agency has something to do with this, referring to a Hilton Head Island-based service that he allegedly worked for at the time. He said in one of their final phone calls, Smith told him that he was out of gas and that he thought he was being followed before the call dropped. At one point, I heard big mud tires. They're like coming towards him or going past because they sounded loud, and they were getting louder. And that, I believe, was the last time I talked to him.
Wow.
Okay. So I got a question. I just got to know what you guys think about this. Because the wounds don't typically match like what a hit and run may look like. But what if they did stick something out the window or something like that, and then they like moved him to the middle of the road or picked him up and just like, I don't know. Because to me, maybe
I mean, if they were driving, and remember, what's that movie? Dazed and Confused, you know, when they go and swing at the mailboxes. I mean, it's really the same principle, right? Just obviously more, you know.
Yeah.
But
more dangerous, but
well, obvious. But that change, that's not a hit and run then. That's something completely different.
Would that be like assault or murder or?
That would be, that would. I don't know. I can tell it would definitely be some type of murder. What, I don't know, because you know, it would depend on the circumstances and all that, and what they could prove in a court of law as to what they decide to charge him with. But that's not a hit and run. A hit and run means you struck somebody with your vehicle and you dipped, which is also a crime. So, I mean.
Oh my gosh. So this is Connolly, the guy that supposedly was driving in this version of events with Wilson and Connolly. The other guy, Truth Teller, found his Facebook, and I went and grabbed these just before. This is a big ass buck, but I went and grabbed these before he deleted it. But the other guy's Facebook is gone. So I don't have that, but this is him, which just looks like a regular old country boy. Looks just like the kids I grew, kids I grew up with.
It's just like Virginia. It's like people that I, name.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Wow, that's pretty actually kind of cool. But like I said, that's a big old buck. That's quite impressive, honestly. Like most men would be like, wow, it's like what, a 10.1.
You're right about that.
Mm-hmm. And
here's what I figure, because I do believe it was a hit and run. I mean, let me say I'm more inclined to believe it was a hit and run. But here's what I figure happened. I figured these two guys were drunk, and they hit him, and then panicked because they were drinking and driving, and they left him there. I feel like that's probably if it was a hit and run. I'm not sold 100% that it was a hit and run, because I still have questions. A lot of things don't add up. But if it was, I feel like that's probably how that went down.
Oh, that's interesting. But I mean, I could see that. It's just, what do you think? They hit him and then moved him in the middle of the road, or I don't know.
See, I don't know.
See, that where I can't get to the hit and run part is the physical evidence just does not match a hit and run. I mean,
well, I agree.
But the guys that were out there, they initially, not SLED, but I mean, SLED was called, but initially, the South Carolina Highway Patrol was out there, and this is what they, along with MATE, which is a division of the Highway Patrol, and that's what they deal with. And they said it's not. The thing about it is that if they had to hit him with their vehicle, there's a tumbling effect that goes along with being hit with a vehicle. There's just no road rash on that boy. There's just not.
He did have road rash on his arms. I did see. I didn't send those to Alex, but
you have to show me the pictures, because I don't have those. All I have is the description of the injuries, and I think maybe
Okay, I'll send them to you. Because that was another thing that led me in the direction of a hit and run, because he did have road rash, and how else would he have gotten that road rash had he not been hit? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Is it this?
Yes, yeah, that's one of them for sure.
Right arm and on his knuckles.
Yeah.
It does look like some road rash, especially right here.
That's definitely road rash.
Oh.
So if,
I might be changing my mind.
Yeah, that was a selling point for me.
This always happens with us, y'all.
Well, because y'all go look in different places and I go look, and then, you come back with different information. So when I read the what was extracted from the autopsy report, it says aggregated, which is like a cluster. But if there were, I don't understand why that wouldn't be written, why they wouldn't just straight write road rash, and why the officers from the South Carolina Highway Patrol, Officer Duncan, I'm looking at you, sir, who has been so vocal about the lack of road rash. And that's, I have questions.
Even even the article either I just read or that I read earlier said he had no injuries besides the head and the shoulder. So it is confusing the way that it's being reported differently.
Right.
Yeah.
And Fitz News has been on this forever and a day.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know what all they had or were, just because they didn't put it in, like, they didn't write about it or show pictures of it doesn't mean they didn't see it. But they also have said they have not said, like, from their own opinion. What they've said is what was in the reports, and the reports, all read that there was no road rash or evidence of road rash, but that looks like some road rash to me.
It does. That's definitely road rash.
Maybe he wasn't going that fast. Maybe we're thinking it should be much worse because we're assuming that they were going fast, and maybe they weren't going that fast.
See, that's another thing too, Jen, is that sometimes I think in these cases we look too hard into things, and really what we see is really what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not as complicated.
Well, Kylie Rodney.
Yeah. Usually I'm right there with you, TT. Usually I'm like, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. But of course I was basing, my opinions on all of the things that have been reported, and I'm going to have to do some reevaluating now, I think.
We all have to reevaluate after we do a live because we have to regroup because something changes.
Yes. But this is a biggie.
Yeah. So you hadn't seen that before?
Buster's
no.
Watching.
Yeah.
We'll have to send it to her.
Yeah.
The pictures. I think he was tossed out of the car and the road rashes from that. Well, his legs do look like he was placed there. But I'm going to play this for a second. Chanley Painter went to exactly that area on the road and kind of filmed a little bit, and I thought that was kind of cool to see.
And there's one more thing that I was going to ask, but after this, just don't let me forget.
Well, go ahead.
No, after this. Well, the other thing is that I thought was interesting was the SA kit that was done.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's apparently that's not protocol for them to have done that. So that one is curious to me too, but it doesn't, I don't know. Okay. All right. I'll be quiet. Let's watch this.
I'm curious about that too. I'm going to try to find this article I saw the other day about that while this is playing.
Okie dokie.
The road, and like you said, it was a bit rainy earlier this afternoon. We were out there, but here is what I learned. Let's watch. It was here along this rural Hampton County road in the early morning hours of July 8th, 2015, where a passing motorist spotted a body lying here on the center line and called 911.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
Hello, I just going down the Parkerville Road. I see somebody laying out.
It was a warm Wednesday morning around 4 a.m., so that means it was dark out here. There are no street lights on this narrow 2-lane highway, just some power lines. The road flanked by a field on one side and then trees on the other with a couple of houses.
I gotta say though, with as wide as that road is, the field, and that, why would he be walking down the middle of it like that? Especially if he's skittish, like his mama says.
But maybe it knocked him there. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I had a thought too. What if it's like, you know, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Remember that? And they moved him. Maybe he was moved.
He may have, yeah.
Wow, Jordan said the dad's been charged with murder. Yeah, we'll check that out after this. Maybe,
Yes,
I don't know.
I want to. Yeah. That one is a fair. I mean, I was sitting on the couch when that Amber Alert came out, and I was like, "What is going on?" So sad.
Oh
And then
my
I've been
God.
glued
How
to
far
it.
is that from you? How far is it?
St. Pete. I don't know, like 30 minutes. It's not that far.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Wow.
30 minutes, like by the map. It might be more like 40, 45 minutes because it's tourist time now. And so traffic.
Right. Okay. But if you had to, you could totally go to any court.
Absolutely, I could. And I was thinking about that. Don't you think for 1 second I wasn't? I was totally thinking about that.
Go be our on-scene reporter
I'm
or
gonna
whatever.
Right, and watch Law and Crime try to snap me up, but I'm going to be like, no. I roll with a good group of girls. I'll be over here. Thank you very much. No, thank you, Court
Yes,
TV.
Law and Crime, Court TV. You can't
Court
have our
TV,
Bendy
Law and
Lou.
Crime.
Thank you very much.
No. I got my peeps.
No.
No. I'm going to be like
Okay,
Mango.
play-
You cannot have the Bendy Lou.
No way. We will fight over Bendy Lou now. Throwing bows.
Is around the area, but within minutes on that early morning, Hampton County Sheriff's officers responded to the scene. They even requested the South Carolina Highway Patrol, but what they saw here raised a lot of questions. The location of the body was odd. There was no glass in the road, no skid marks or other vehicle debris. The victim, whom police later identified as 19-year-old Stephen Smith, had no injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle in the road. In fact, his loosely tied tennis shoes were still on his feet, and his undamaged cell phone and car keys were still in his front pocket. Stephen Smith looked only to have trauma to the right side of his head that investigators first believed was a gunshot wound.
They also didn't mention the road rage. Jordan says, "What part are you in, Jen?" I'm in the Villages.
I'm over by Holiday. I'm by Holiday.
Suspicious. It is suspicious. I don't know if it's worth playing. I might play it for another minute and then we'll keep going.
Anthony, according to reports at that scene, the assistant coroner pointed out to the investigators what she believed to be a defensive wound on the victim's hand. But ultimately, later that day, when Stephen Smith's body was into autopsy, the medical examiner determined that it was a cause of death was due to an apparent hit and run accident. And that, of course, changed the course of the investigation from then on out. Let's take a look. Actually, I want to show you this scene as mapped out in 2015, Minnie, because again, SLED.
I love Chanley. I thought I was muted. I'm sorry, y'all hearing all my clicks and stuff, but I love Chanley Painter. I think she's so cute. I don't know. She's pleasant to listen to. And, but there's the little map. I found the article that I saw the other day on the rape kit. So I was going to switch over to that. Let's see. What do you guys think about Buster?
I have never thought Buster would. I have never thought that Buster was involved. What I have always thought was this. What I understand is that Buster was tutored by Stephen. Stephen was extremely smart and extremely academic, and that Buster was tutored by him. But I always thought that because Stephen was Buster's tutor, that because Stephen was very comfortable about who he was, I think they teased Buster. That's really what I think. That's where I think that rumor comes from. Yeah. And I think it's nothing but a rumor.
And maybe I listened to the behavior panel too much, but I've listened to those jailhouse calls between Alex and Buster, and he's just really unbothered by the rumors. Like it's not, I mean, of course it's taxing on him, it's stressful, but he's really unbothered as it relates to being arrested or, any kind of investigation. He sounds pretty confident that, like, screw y'all. I didn't have anything to do with this shit, but y'all do what you need to, So that he's always come across. And I think that they maybe had some kind of past, whatever it was. I'm not so sure. I believe it was sexual, but I believe that they knew each other, maybe were fond of each other. And like you say, Jen, he may have tutored him. But I never believed that he did this.
I think it was probably something he got teased for.
Yeah.
That makes sense, especially in this, like I said, in the South, it's a different world. It's, if you're not a manly man who's like hunting and tough and camo, and it's just a different world. So Mike Duncan is a now retired corporal with South Carolina Highway Patrol. He told News Nation this was the first time he has ever heard of a rape kit examination ordered for a death in a traffic collision. The examination was reportedly ordered within 13 hours of his discovery, and when asked if he had ever seen such a move before, he said, "When it comes to traffic accidents, never. This was the very first time. I did not have an understanding of why it was being ordered. We were not notified until later that it had been ordered," he told Ashley Banfield. "So no, I have no answers for you why they would order it, what would be suspected as a hit and run, which it wasn't, but I will never understand that." He said his crew was called off the case around the time the rape kit was ordered. He said, "I was puzzled and confused from the start when we actually got to finally pick up the case, why we weren't given the opportunity to be part of it from the beginning." He said investigators were never given any information regarding the results of the rape kit by the time he retired. So it is kind of interesting, but he was a beautiful kid for sure. There were no skid marks around his body. I'm surprised about that, unless they meant to hit him, or like I said, hit him out of the window with something. And then what the fuck is up with Madonna? Madonna licks, strokes guitar.
Don't even get me started on that heifer. She has lost her mind.
Oh my God, she really has. I could do a whole show on her on Real Talk, because she's like freaks me out now. She looks, I don't know what the hell's going on with her, but land of the real man. I would really like Buster to bust out and join a hippie commune, like F you, Dad, old school.
Well, I've been thinking about what you said, Truth Teller, about Buster and his cool, calm, collected attitude and demeanor. And I do think that is important to note, mostly because if it had been any before, right, I would have said, well, maybe that can be attributed to the fact that he thinks his family is untouchable. But the bottom line is those calls came because his dad was arrested. Right. So obviously he would realize at that point, no, his family is not untouchable. So I do put a lot of credence into the fact that Buster has never really been bothered by this accusation. And the truth is, and this is something that hardly anybody really ever talks about, is that the first time that the Murdaugh name ever came out was from Sandy Smith. And she said, that's Stephen's mom, and what she said was somebody said that the Murdaugh boys were involved, whoever they are. She didn't even know who they were at that time.
Oh, okay. Well, look, what about this then? I got this because I'm kind of like OG Fish. Why reopen it? Because didn't they say that because of this Murdaugh stuff that led them to?
Well, I think it was pressure, public pressure, because now the spotlight is on the Murdaughs. You got Gloria Satterfield. Everybody was looking at that. They're like, all these bodies around the Murdaughs. Why are y'all not looking into this? And I think that's where these cases started opening back up. I mean, SLED had to, in my opinion, because the public is saying,
Right.
do something. What do we not know about this family, you know?
Right. I actually have a different opinion, not that far off of what you're saying. I think that what it is a very, very poor choice of words. The case was never closed. You cannot close a case without a resolution. A hit and run is a crime. So it has to be resolved in one way or another. They've got to find out who did it, right? So I don't think it was ever closed per se. What I think ended up happening is it was just a very, 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 very poor choice of words. And as you know, the SLED, Hampton County Sheriff's Department, when they work together on coming out and making an announcement, it does not go very swimmingly, as exampled by the testimony of the communications officer that had to take the stand in the Murdaugh trial, because because the statement that was released was that there was no danger to the public. And my pal Poot was saying that's because they had zeroed in on Alec from like second one, which I don't think that's true either. I mean, I think they kept him in the circle, but they gave him a lot of advantages that you or me would not be getting. Let's be honest. Okay. Right. We would not be allowed to have our entire our entire contact list out at the damn ass crime scene. That's just facts.
Yep. Maria, just real quick. So Madonna is being investigated for trafficking. The country where she's adopted those children from, I think it's Malawi or whatever it is, the president of that country has made it where she cannot get any more kids, and I think it's an Ethiopian charity has put out a thing to the UN and to us she needs to be investigated. They believe that she's been, she has a charity over there where she has a lot of like an orphanage, and they're accusing her of child trafficking. They say she's taking kids that aren't really orphans, and saying they are orphans. There's different weird stuff happening there, but there's definitely some weird. Mm-hmm. I saw that like official sources were asking for an investigation. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So it might be kind of true, not just conspiracy. We shall see, I guess. But
Madonna, sounds like you in trouble, girl. Or you being investigated, at least. They're looking at you, ma'am.
Yep. Let me see. Well, let me think. What was the other? I did have a thing that I was going to pull up about why they linked Buster to this. But do you guys have anything else on this? And then we'll go look at what's happening with the baby as well.
I don't have anything that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
I am curious about how this is going to go, because I almost am sort of leaning towards, I don't know that it was exactly a hit and run. I think it was more like, Allie, what you were thinking, maybe a bat, because the lawyer for the Smith family did go on, I think Court TV and Law and Crime, but I can't tell you. I cannot remember exactly which. Can y'all hear my dog snoring? Did y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that? That is ridiculous. Yeah, snoring like a grown-ass man. When he did it, I was like, what is he doing at first? And I was like, oh my God, he's snoring. Sorry, y'all, that's not professional. This is why I won't be on Long Crime. Anyway, I listened to his interview, and one of the things that he had said was about these metallic shavings that they are paint thingies chips that they had found. And what he said was, it's also possible that it came from a bat, an aluminum bat, paint from an aluminum bat. And I thought that was very interesting. Mm-hmm.
Well, that still takes me back to the road rash, though. I mean, I see what y'all are saying, and like if it wasn't for the road rash, I would be open to anything. But the road rash just.
What if they hit him with the bat and then a little bit with the vehicle? Know what I mean?
That's what I thought too. or it dragged him when they hit him with the bat. Maybe it dragged him a little bit or something like that.
But I will say this. Duncan is one of the officers with the highway patrol that was out at that crime scene no less than 4 times looking for debris. And I do think that because the prevailing thought back in the day was that he was actually hit with like the side mirror. And but there is no evidence of the vehicle. There's no evidence of the vehicle on Stephen Smith either. And there's no debris. And they walked 100 yards in both directions, no less than 4 times, looking for some type of something. And they tried to look up to see if anybody had a repair done to their vehicle and came up empty.
That is a non-issue to me because living in the South, the back road drinkers out here that are doing 20 mile an hour down a back road to drink their beer and listen to Hank Williams Jr. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I know exactly what you're saying because I'm picturing it right now. Hey, do you smoke?
And I've been one of them people. So it's about the speed for me. We don't know how, you know what I'm saying? Like if these were just two guys on the back roads drinking, I don't know. That's just something I thought about that, you know. We have to think critically, and critical thinking tells us that we do have to consider all reasonable possibilities. And yes, what Truth Teller has brought up is definitely a reasonable possibility.
Can I ask you guys? So I know that the boyfriend says he said it was out of gas. The gas thing was open, but was the car actually out of gas? Did they say?
All I know is that they tried to start the vehicle and it wouldn't start. Beyond that, I don't know. I think the key has always been if this is not a hit and run, if this is something other than that, the key is in Stephen Smith's phone and it has been unlocked.
Okay, interesting. This is that Madonna thing, you guys. So look, it says so it's EWF, the Ethiopian World Federation, which is a big, huge charity that's, recognized by the governments over there and everything. It's a big charity. They demanded the Malawi government investigate Madonna's charity, Raising Malawi, for human trafficking, sexual exploitation, fraud, and exposing children to propaganda. Madonna herself adopted 4 children from Malawi, but guess what? She adopted these kids. She tells everyone that that they were orphans and stuff. Now their family members have started speaking out. Like they're like, no, she was supposed to take them for a year to go to school and bring them back. Like some of them still have parents. One of them had a grandma that took care of her, and she said that she was taking them to for a year to get good an education, and then never brought them back.
Okay, first of all, Madonna, what is a year of education going to do?
Yeah, no doubt, but
stingy ass bitch. But I'm sorry, does that even make sense to anybody? Like a year of education?
No, unless I guess how people do that school where you go, what is it called?
Schools Without Borders or student exchange.
Yes.
The exchange students. Yeah, that would be different but were they getting an education where they were? That would be an exchange student. That would make sense for a year. But I mean, she doesn't, I don't know.
This girl right here, her grandma did an interview and was like, I thought she was bringing her back in a year. Like I love her. I'm all she's got. She's all I got. And now her grandma's passed away. And yeah, it's awful. If you dig into that, oh my God, it's just awful. Yeah. She's such a humanitarian, Sherry. Where would he have been walking to? It's the middle of nowhere. I question why he wouldn't have just called for help.
And I will say this. Now, his sister has said many times that Stephen would call her in the middle of the night if he got into trouble because he'd done it before. And prior to his death, I feel like maybe a week or two, something was wrong with his car. It looked like it had been tampered with. And she tightened whatever needed to be tightened. I think the battery cables were loosened or something. I cannot remember what she said it was, but whatever it was, wasn't all that deep. She fixed it and everything was fine. So
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
She said would have called and hid in the bushes. Yeah, because she said he was skittish.
Well,
but I don't know. Did he have a history of you?
Go ahead. Did he have a what?
I think we have a delay. I'm sorry. A history of like drinking or using or anything?
No, he was very, very focused. He was very, very focused on school. Very, very focused. Okay. He was bound and determined. What he really wanted to be was a doctor. But he didn't have the money. So what he said is, I'm going to go to school, which was what he was doing, to become an RN. And then use the money I make from being an RN to go to medical school. That's what he wanted to do. And he wanted to do Doctors Without Borders. He wanted to help kids who did not have, who were poor because he grew up poor.
Care. Oh,
yeah.
That's so
That's
sad.
what he wanted to do.
That's really sweet and so sad.
And I will say, I see what Steph Lynn said in the chat, and I've heard those same allegations about the sister as well. Steph Lynn.
Where was it? Let me see.
When you asked about the drug use, when you asked about the drug use, she wrote not all, but his siblings did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know, a twin. I can't imagine. It's hard. It would be hard to lose a sibling no matter what. I thought I was losing mine a couple times when my brothers overdosed and things, but I cannot imagine a twin. I think that'd make it even more. I know. Share a womb together.
I know.
Hey,
and what I've always thought was sad, because you said this in the beginning, and then we'll go on to Talon here. But I looked high and low for anything that I could find about Stephen as a person. And there is stuff out there. I found a lot more on Fitz News than I found anywhere else, but not nearly enough. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense, because I looked today. Yeah. I've
always wanted to interview Sandy, not about the case, not about his death, but just about him. I've always, I just.
You should do it.
I don't know how to
get you that interview.
I don't know how we can find her. I've looked for her on all the social medias. We'll talk about it, but yeah, I would just like to interview her only about Stephen. I just want to know about him.
I would love to see that. I'll try to help you get in touch with her, because that'd be really great.
So
today.
Sweet, Allie.
Seriously, I love that. Today I looked, though, because you're right. Well, that's how I found the People article. A lot of times with these cases that get like national coverage, you will find articles just about who they are, what they like to do, kind of like background. And I didn't see that. I mean, I was quickly doing it. So, but, immediately nothing came up. So that's what led me to that People article.
There are some. I mean, one thing, Stephen was a twin, obviously, but he was born underweight and given only like a 5% chance to live, and he made it. And he was an avid reader. She said that he spent all of any money that he had, he spent on books. He read all the things and all kinds of things. And then the thing about, becoming a doctor. But, I know that and she said he was helpful. Like, he's just a good all around person and funny. But I would just like for there to be so much more. And in all of the documentaries, in my opinion, really more, Mallory Beach, we hear a lot about her and who she was, right? But not so much about Gloria and not so much about Stephen, who they were as people. That's what I'm interested in, who they were as people. But anyway, okay, now let's get on to. Yes.
See, you care. You always care about the cases you talk about like that. And
I do care, but don't be telling people, I got a reputation on these YouTube streets.
That's funny. Okay, well, here's Talon. Oh gosh, this is heartbreaking and devastating. The most flexible girl in true crime. I'm sorry, I love that. Hey,
If I'd have
Kim.
never said that one thing that one time. But
I
Bindi
know,
Lou,
but now
I can think of 11 billion worse nicknames to be called than Bindi Lou.
It's cute
I
as
love
hell. I love
Bindi.
it.
It is cute. I love it.
So JB from I love him from WFLA. He tweeted 5 minutes ago, missing 2-year-old Talon Mosley was murdered per St. Pete PD, and his body was found in the mouth of an alligator by law enforcement. Oh my dear God. Talon's mother, Pashun Jeffrey, was found dead of stab wounds. Talon's father will face murder charges for both. Look at this baby.
I know.
Oh my God.
I caught a little bit of JB's live today. And apparently it was a very, very violent crime scene.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his arms were cut up, right? And then oh God.
The last thing that I read, which was right before I came over here, was that the father was refusing to speak to police.
I have not even heard of this.
Oh wow.
And that he had been taken to the hospital to get his, because he had injuries. Mm-hmm. But that he was not speaking to the popos.
Look. Wow, he was taken to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that. It says they had to shoot one round at the alligator and recovered his body intact. God help my heart, because that is so devastating to even think about. Thomas Mosley is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Oh my God.
Let me just tell y'all that for them to have found him like that was divine intervention. And there's no other way to explain it, because alligators are very, very quick and they do not play.
Oh my God. Hey, I'm curious. That's crazy.
And
an
Amber
intact
Alert
in his mouth.
Yes. And an Amber Alert had gone out. Let me look on my phone. I can't because I'm on fucking StreamYard. I feel like it was at about 5:00 yesterday. And the reason why it had gone out is because they found his mother and he was not there with his mom. That's when they realized he was missing. So God only knows how long he had been wherever he was, that they, and then an alligator found him and they found the alligator. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is divine intervention. There's just no other way to say it.
Well, because let's say if an alligator was going to eat a toddler, how long would it take from first grabbing it to it being in its belly or whatever?
Well, that's so alligators, what they like to do is they will not eat immediately. What they do is they will put the whatever their prey is under, in their nest or whatever, underneath something, and then they will eat it. They don't typically just devour it, but that's why I'm saying that's why it's so. I don't even know another way to say it other than complete divine intervention.
Oh my God. So TT, you hadn't heard of this at all? It's kind of just happened in the last couple of days, really, but
I hadn't.
So
how did they find?
But I'm trying to get the link.
How did they find him in the alligator's mouth?
That I don't know, because I only heard that while you guys were already live, and I just stayed here. I didn't go look at it, but I know that I'm sure there's a press conference. Yeah, Allie?
Yeah, I think that's what this is. We'll play it. I think it's only a minute or two, a clip of the press conference, but
okay,
let me play it.
Okay. It's with great sadness I have to inform you today that Talon's body has been found. It is my condolences going out to the family and to his loved ones. We are sorry that it had to end this way. Through investigative technique, we were able to find an area around Dell Holmes Park that led the investigators to that area. The detectives had been there all afternoon, and while they were there, they were spot an alligator with an object in his mouth. As the detectives got closer, they fired one round to the alligator. The alligator dropped the object that he had in his mouth, and we were able to retrieve Talon's body intact. The father, Thomas Mosley, is now being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. I can tell you now that Talon's mom, Miss Jeffries, her body was stabbed multiple times. Until the medical examiner has a chance to look at Talon's body, we cannot tell you the cause of death. I would like to thank all the law enforcement agencies.
JLR is out. Am I muted? No. JLR is outside of his house right now. Look. Outside of the dad's house. Cops are there and everything.
Why?
I don't know. I just found it.
See what's going on? Right there? Yeah. He said he was his uncle. He said he would talk to me for $5,000. That's what he said.
He said his uncle told JLR he'd talk to him for $5,000.
That's what he said.
Is she with him? You know who? You know who?
I don't know. Maybe.
Was that her voice I hear?
Over there. I think
She wasn't earlier, but I won't be surprised.
I was over here and they were reading them the warning.
Wait a minute, Uncle who? The dad's brother?
No, the uncle of the dad, I think.
I mean, but this is the guy that murdered a young female and a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old.
Okay, I'm muting for a second, but we're gonna watch the background. Do you think they're there? What are they doing? You see, like pictures being taken. You see the flash?
Yeah,
right
I mean, it's it looks like a crime scene.
Searching? Oh,
they got to be searching.
Crime scene tape. Oh, look. Oh my God! Here, let's see what he's saying.
How sad.
This what they better do with my baby. I want to be doing the same motherfucking thing, bitch. Go to everybody's house, bitch, kick that door.
I know that he's got a warrant out for his arrest, but has he not been arrested yet? Or
I mean, if they're I would imagine if they're at his house, that yeah, he'd be.
All right, I'm going to let that run and let's go back on Twitter and look really fast just to see the latest. I'm going to refresh and oops, not with the. Oh my God, this is awful.
Awful.
What is such a graphic headline, sending comfort to his family. Look at this baby. Oh my God.
Oh, he's absolutely adorable. He's so precious. These cases, you know me, nobody ever understands these.
I know. And you always do have a time with the kid ones. But
I
know
do.
what?
I don't.
Oh, it makes me want to talk about him even more. Look at him.
Me too. And it makes me want to I just want to go and ask, but I know it would be such a waste of time because it doesn't matter what they say to me. It's never going to make sense. Yeah. So I think it might actually mess with me more if I sat and listened to them give their reason. You know how it's so messed up.
It is. I don't even know.
They're the worst of the worst.
They are. Oh, guess what else happened in Florida? Tekashi 6ix9ine got beat up at a gym.
I saw that just now, right before we came live, like on TikTok. Yes. They were sharing video of it.
Yeah.
Because
my God. Yeah,
he
by
was
3 guys.
Really bloody and stuff.
Yeah, he was. They beat him up and robbed him.
Oh my God. You guys, I would take that baby in a freaking heartbeat. I would have taken him in a heartbeat. There's so many people who would have too, you know. I
Yes.
don't understand how this happens when there are so many people who would love to have a baby like that. Baby cuddles, there is nothing more pure than baby lovins. Like I need them all the time. I don't know.
I know. I know. I know.
What is this, a poster? Oh my gosh. Family members of Pashan, including her mother. I saw this earlier. Her mom was talking at a press conference and stuff. Officer found the boy in the clutches of an alligator's mouth. The officer fired at the gator and the animal dropped the boy. Holloway said, okay, so he will be arrested. He hasn't been arrested yet.
Okay. I think he might be in the hospital, right? Is he still in the hospital?
I think so. Look, he was still in the hospital Friday night, and police plan to arrest him after his discharge. Taylor's body was found around Lake Maggiore, 13 miles from the apartment. I wonder how he got there. You should have seen the family this morning. She was like, you know, please bring my baby. He needs us. His mama's gone. He needs us. And she was just crying, and it was so genuine. You could just feel it. And I was just thinking, I fear that he's not going to come home because of him not being there. Like sometimes people will hurt a mom and leave the baby, you know, unharmed. And where he wasn't found there, I had a bad feeling.
That's what happened with that story I covered a long, long time ago, back from the 80s, the one that Jessica Biel, Candy, that she was in on. So it was 1981, and it was like a Friday the 13th, and they thought that that's maybe what motivated this crime, because it was the same weekend that Friday the 13th opened in the movie theaters, the original one. And it was her friend who came, and I mean, she had been having an affair with her husband. Candy and the woman, I cannot remember her name. Why does it escape me? But Candy had been having an affair with the victim's husband, and they suspect that she confronted Candy, and they got into a fight, and Candy murdered her with an axe.
Oh my God.
It was brutal. And the couple's 4 or 5 month old baby, maybe a little older than that, was left in her crib completely unharmed for hours, because it was like 12 hours before, because her husband was out of town, and he kept calling and calling and calling and wasn't able to get a hold of her. And then he had the neighbors go and check, and that's how they found her. And then they found the baby, and the baby was completely unharmed, but just couldn't even cry anymore. She was so dehydrated.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So who is the name Jessica Biel, or did the actress?
No, Jessica Biel is the actress who played her.
Okay,
it's Candy. The name of the show is Candy. It was on Hulu, and HBO Max has got their own one coming out. It's the actress who played Captain Marvel will be playing Candy.
Oh wow! Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh! Ooh, I want to see that. All right.
Well, it looked like it was going to be really good.
We'll have to watch it. I want to show you guys this case. Someone sent it to me a week ago. I didn't see it till today, and I wanted to bring it up at the end. This young lady's been missing for 22 days today, and she has schizophrenia, which is similar to a case Will B just told me about that I'm about to talk about too. But anyways, let me read you her these little messages I forwarded, and then we'll look at this article. But she says, "Thank you. It's really sad. She's schizophrenic and was off her medication for a few days and ended up in a stranger's driveway to sleep. Then the police were called, and that frightened her, so she took off in her car, and the police chased her into the woods and lost track of her. Harris County Sheriff's Office in Houston refuses to list her as a missing person because they say she's a fugitive for evading police. it says, the craziest part about the cop story, she wasn't responding to them when they knocked on her car window. So they busted her window in and it shattered. And when she took off running, there was glass all in her shoes. And the family found her shoes at the foot of a pond. So, I mean, click over. It's in Tomball, Texas. This is her. It says, beloved musician Kay Elena Turner is the family of her is pleading for her safe return. She's been missing since March 10th. She was wearing a bright pink maxi dress. She's been experiencing a manic episode at the time she went missing. She hadn't slept in 2 days and her medications were recently changed. And I've known someone in my family who's like that, and they get completely delusional when they're manic. It says on Friday, her boyfriend James and best friend Brittany became concerned when she texted no help without explanation. A friend in Austin shared that he received a call from Kaylana announcing that she was driving to visit him. However, her phone was dying, so he encouraged her to write down his address. Unfortunately, she got lost and confused on the way. She thought she arrived in Austin, but was actually in Harris County, began knocking on doors looking for her friend, and eventually fell asleep in a stranger's driveway. Earlier the next morning, residents of Tomball found her sleeping in her car and called police. When they arrived, she was startled and tried to back out of the driveway. The police broke her driver's side window for reasons that are unclear, terrifying her further. She then drove through several fences before bogging her car down in a muddy, densely wooded area nearby. The track suggests she ran on foot into the woods and crossed the creek, kicking off her shoes, which were found full of glass from the broken window. Her phone has also been found, and her purse and stuff is in the car.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now I got the details for you. It's Candy Montgomery and Betty Gore. That's who the story is based on. And it's like, let me see, hold on. Yeah, write it down because I covered it. I did a thing on my I did it for Team Psych Ward. She had watched it and she said, Jen, will you do a thing? And I did. It's like it's 5 episodes. All right, now hold on. Now I'm going to tell you about the HBO Max one so you can write that down too while I'm searching.
Yeah. And Annie Banani, thank you for bringing this to my attention. And I will share a post about it as well and try to, maybe you guys could share it if I make a post with like the details of this for Annie Banani. She's the one who asked me to cover this.
All right. So the one on HBO Max is Love and Death, and it's coming out right now. It'll be here April 27th, 2023 is the first episode. It's a fascinating story because she got off. She was acquitted.
Wow. TT, you okay?
Yeah, was that her with the wind or was that you?
It wasn't me. I'm hoping that.
It wasn't me. I was muted.
I was worried for a second.
The wind is getting up. I thought that was you, Jen. I thought you were outside smoking.
I'm in the house. No, I was worried for you. Well, where the hell did that wind come from?
I don't know because I'm in the house.
I'm outside, but it's not windy. So I don't know. But how's the weather now, TT?
I hear it like, that swirly sounding wind.
When it's whipping around.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to have to go out there and look around in a minute.
No, you do not need to go out there and look. What the hell are you going to see? It's dark. You can't see when it's dark like that. You already told me you're out in BFE.
I am.
So I know you ain't got a bunch of lights around. What you gonna do? Go out there with your phone flashlight and see what you can, girl. We can't lose you.
You might get hit by a branch or something flying through the. Yes,
exactly. We need you.
I hope everything's all right with you and everybody else. It's scary.
Yeah, I'm ready for this to move on past.
Is it usually like
I don't miss these days.
Oh yeah, we go through this every year. It's been worse this year though than in recent years.
It's been really bad this year. Usually between March and end of April is tornado season. It is in Texas anyway, and it always happens around 2:30 in the afternoon. Is when it starts.
Oh, wow.
The thunderstorms start rolling in. And then now I've switched it up to Florida where you get an occasional hurricane. Okay. And they're nothing to laugh at. I mean, they're kind of, the first time it was scary. Now I'm not scared, but I don't miss that at all. I don't miss that tornado weather at all.
Yeah.
I've never heard wind like I've heard, like when Irma hit. I've never heard wind like that ever. It was so strong, you guys, that a lot of houses here, and this is an apartment. Thank God we were on the second floor, but we had double sliding glass doors. Okay. And it was blowing so hard that they were bowing. You could see them. And my son said, Mom, you think we should crack that? And I've always heard you don't crack windows for tornadoes. I didn't know anything about a damn ass hurricane, right? And so he just opened it a tiny little bit, and otherwise I think it would have ended up shattering. And bless it, it probably would have shattered all over the dog because Nestor's chair was on that wall. Yes, I know.
No, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of all.
I bet it did. I bet, yeah.
It's scary. And you know what they don't tell you? You know how when you're not in a place that gets hurricanes and you're watching and you think to yourself, why didn't people leave? I'm going to tell you why people don't leave. Because at first, it wasn't predicted to make landfall on the west coast of Florida. At first it was going to make landfall on the south end of Florida, right? But because Irma was such a big storm, right? It was wider than Florida. Florida's not even all that wide. It's just long, but it was wider than Florida. So we were all going to feel impacts. But at the last minute, she turned. And when she took that jog, then she made landfall right by me on the west coast of Florida. But by the time they changed their minds about where it was going to go, there was nowhere to go because everybody had already, like from South Florida, had already started evacuating, and the people up here which were kind of South Florida, but we're right in the middle. But anyway, they here were filling up all of their, tanks and stuff, and for their vehicles and for their generators. So by the time we were told, okay, you need to evacuate, there was nowhere we would have been able to go. We would have been stuck on the highway is what would have happened. So we just stayed.
That'd be awful. Yeah.
But that's why people ride it out, because they don't really have a choice.
You'd rather be home than stuck on the highway,
Thank you. With a cat and a dog, no, thank you.
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys came on.
Although Nestor's an excellent swimmer.
I dropped their links in the chat. Please, you guys go subscribe if you haven't, because just definitely you would enjoy both of their channels. And then I want to ask before you guys go, like, are there any final I know we can get more into this as things come out, but are there any final thoughts on Stephen or even the other cases or anything like that?
Well,
no, I'm just waiting to see what becomes of this, especially now that they have persons of interest. I'm curious to see where this goes.
Well,
now,
I'll say this.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Allie. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask if they did, if that's the truth, they accidentally hit him, what would the charge be?
Well, for one, they left. So
fleeing a scene.
Yeah, so that would be one charge. Then
failure to stop and render aid.
Mm-hmm.
Failure to report a death or whatever.
Vehicular manslaughter. Yeah, vehicular manslaughter.
But I think that law enforcement would face some kind of charges too if it's true what they're reporting about the stepfather telling authorities what his stepson said, and they didn't.
Okay. There is something about that, and that's what I was going to go to next. Truth teller, because I told you stay out of my head. It is messy up there. Nobody will understand my filing system. But there is something about that. Like, I do believe that they did try and speak to them, And if I'm remembering correctly, in fact, I think they did actually. And I'm thinking that nothing ever came of it, that they couldn't prove it one way or another.
I mean,
I feel like.
I mean, what prove what though? If there's an admission, and I know it's hearsay, but if the stepfather goes to authorities and says, "Hey, look, my stepson told me him and his buddy hit this guy,"
And then he went out.
Yeah.
And he said he told him about it. And then after he told him about it, the son or stepson went outside and vomited. But I'll look into this because I know that there is something in the case file about it. I know that there is. And I just, for whatever reason, my mind is blank about that right now. All I can think about is the fact that this guy has been charged with first-degree murder, and it will likely be a death penalty case. I don't know why that popped into my brain.
Who?
But it did. For Talon's father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Florida.
I know why it popped into my brain, because I was talking to my husband today about Leticia. And both of us said the same thing. It's, it's unfortunate that he was unalived in Colorado, because had it been here, she would have been eligible for the death penalty, and there would be none of this. I have DID. I was having a psychotic break, mumbo jumbo. Florida wouldn't entertain it at all. She would have been evaluated. None of these game playing that she's done, writing letters like she has, messages in the damn ass peanut butter. None of that would have been like, I mean, she probably would have done whatever she was going to do anyway. But like, I don't know. I don't think they would have entertained it the way that Colorado has, which,
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, honestly, after time after time after time. It's like she's had several, I don't know, evaluations, and I get it. The defense should have the right to do their own, but then why does the state do several? Do one and then let them do one. Why are we dragging this out? I'm glad it's starting in a couple of days. I can't wait to see that evil bitch pay for what she did to that baby. That's just
agreed. I think with Leticia, I think where hers has been particularly problematic is because of the incident when they were transporting her, how she tried to escape, and then she made escape plans while she was being held. And so I think with her, they had to be it was extra difficult. Obviously, it was during the vid at the beginning, right? Yeah, 2020, wasn't it? Yes. Wasn't it? Yeah, 2020. And then so a lot of stuff was, shut down, as we all know. We were there. We don't have to relive that. But also, she's a security risk too, because of her own damn behavior. And so, that's probably what complicated things.
You're right. You're 100% right, because they told us whenever, I will not forget it, they said about COVID, this is going to change things. They're not going to, we don't know when court's going to be. Basically, it's going to be a while. So,
and then, just her being her and doing the things that she does, and her behavior, complicated it further. And then, everything was like short-staffed, and don't forget that, like, economically, we still have not bounced back from all of that. So that's probably they were already under staffed, but I mean, she is H-Do. She is a secure. I know you look at her and you think she's not, but look what she did on her transport when they were extraditing her. What's not working?
She will not get a welcome in prison. The membership link, I'm trying to get it. I think I have one from Lynn that might work.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know why, but yeah. Crime Curious says she will not get a warm welcome in prison. I feel like she will not be safe, and right or wrong, that makes me feel better. Oh, she won't. She only will not be
she
safe.
won't.
No
Not
one
only
that
for
hurts
her
babies.
crime. Yeah, not only for her crime, but she's also known. So she will be a target. And you get on the TikToks, Alex. Remember when Gabriel Fernandez's mom. There was a woman who was in the same prison as her, and she came on the TikToks and said the kinds of stuff that they were after her all the time. I mean, she would get beat up, heal, and then
beat up again. Wow.
She would get beat up again.
That's crazy. TT said that she's not into Lori Vallows very much, but what was it? Can you explain? But you have watched Gannon's, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with both of them. Lori just pisses me off so bad. Like we talked about, I think was it yesterday? Anyway, we've talked about how unless our heart's in it, we just can't, unless we're just, I don't know. Lori's so off-putting to me. I just don't find interest in her. Of course, I have great interest in those babies. I hope they get the justice they deserve, but I have no interest in dealing with Lori. Right. And the Gannon case is just so painful to that baby is just.
I know. It's hard. They're hard. With Lori, for me, you know what? She is extremely off-putting, truth teller. I mean, there's no two ways about it, but I'll say this. She so very much doesn't want this type of publicity. Like, she doesn't want cameras in the courtroom. She doesn't want us to hear just exactly what brand of monster she is. That actually has made me dig my heels in more and try to rack my brain for a way to hear it all.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to, I don't know what, I mean, I know exactly what it is about me. I'm incredibly stubborn, and she is so anti wanting to be shown for what she really and truly is, that now I've really dug my heels in.
Well, I think another aspect for me was the whole culty religious thing. Like, I just don't have time for that foolishness. I don't find interest in that kind of. And so,
I don't care about that.
I'm just saying, like, that was going to be a huge part of the trial, probably, as far as their religious beliefs and this and that. And I just don't want to deal with that foolishness.
Well, sometimes a case just, every victim matters. I'm not saying that. Every case matters. Kylie Rodney, I personally do think that was an accident. But even at the time when I had questions because of her friend's interview and all the things that people were saying, it just wasn't, I was not super interested in it. Also, mom was asking people, please don't talk about it. We're told it's an accident. But regardless, it didn't draw me in the way it drew so many other people.
Yeah, it didn't draw me in either.
Yeah, and it's not that her life don't matter. It's just that sometimes if you're not called to a case, you're just not called to it. Right. And that's just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, and I think for me with Lori, it's not so much her as a person. I mean, although this is an element of her personality, but who thinks that they can be court ordered to produce their children and just not show?
I know.
It's her audacity, I guess. Narcissism. I'm just like, yes, I don't know what it is with her. I don't know what exactly. I would say that she's got some kind of cluster B personality situation going on.
Audacity is a perfect word. Think about what her newest thing is. Not wanting the grandparents to be in the courtroom, you evil ass bitch.
Dirty. And they're going to use a legal loophole. It's perfectly legal, but it's a dirty trick. It's a very, very dirty trick. They're going to use them as what they're going to make it where they're potential witnesses and therefore cannot be in the courtroom until their testimony. And then once they testify, I feel like what they'll do is say that they're not released from their subpoena. That's what I think is going to happen. She's just foul.
That is so messed up.
She truly is.
Her lawyer, I didn't mean to turn my camera on, but Will was to say bye. But her lawyer gets up there and says, they are not grandparents. They gave up that right when they had put it. No, they didn't put him up for adoption. His they are not his parents. They just thought that, it wasn't up to them. They just thought Lori and Chad are younger. They have a young lady, they have Tylee that can help. It would be a better fit. It would be a good fit for JJ. They're young parents. They're doing stuff all the time. Kay and Larry are older. It wasn't they didn't want to be in his life from the beginning. It was they will still be in his life. Just Lori and Chad were going to be the parents, or Lori and Charles would be the parents. It makes me mad.
I think that Kay and Larry, exactly like you said, it was for them. They wanted to remain grandparents. And they thought it would be better for JJ to be with people who were currently parents.
Yes.
I don't think that people really understand when situations like this occur, for you to take your own wants out of the equation and put the child's needs ahead of what you would want, because that's what's best for them, how difficult that is, and how actually it shouldn't be judged as a selfish act, because it's actually a very selfless act. That is what you're supposed to do. The child's needs come before your wants.
Yeah.
And for anybody to be judging them for that, or saying, especially her attorney, I get it. He's doing his job or whatever, but still, come on, bruh. It's too much. Gone too far.
It's exactly what Lori wouldn't do, which is put those kids before her own selfish wants and needs and her perversions and all the weird shit in her messed up brain.
Exactly, because she could have at any time said, look, the circumstances in my life have changed. I no longer have Charles. He has passed away. Because at that point, she hadn't been charged yet. And nobody knew. And what she could, and they probably still wouldn't have known, really, if she would have said to Kay and Larry, circumstances have changed. I cannot take care of JJ. Can you take him? And of course they would have.
Yeah.
Without a question.
But I think Crime Curious is dead on with this. She's still mad about the money. She believes in her brain she's a victim of Kay. She thought that Charles's life insurance was hers. It belonged to her. She owed it. And when Kay got that,
I said that the other night.
I think it's still JJ's fate.
That's what I think too. I think because I was talking about it with Brittany, and I said I feel like her motive for Tylee was that Tylee was a potential witness, right? But for JJ, he was never going to tell anything, because I don't think he knew anything, to be honest with you. But when she called and was all sing-songy on that phone call with the life insurance agent, and the life insurance agent says, well, we need to ask you some verifying questions. And who's the beneficiary? And she says, I am. And then the life insurance lady comes back, the representative, and she's like, you're not. Or his whole everything just changed. And she's been digging. She has been after and angry at Kay from that second on. Period.
Yep. I completely agree. It's so messed up too. But that call, I forgot about that. I actually haven't heard that for a long time, but you can tell. I think the life insurance agent doesn't tell her for 100% right at the end. And Lori's mood goes from do to like completely down. You can feel the shift. Oh, welcome, Kim. Yay, it worked. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Those poor babies.
I know. It's so sad. But they're
beauties.
There is some, whenever there's a guilty verdict of somebody that I truly, after knowing and learning all of the evidence, which only ever really comes out at trial, and you see justice served, it's not a it's weird. I thought I would feel differently when Alec Murdaugh was convicted, but I didn't. I felt no joy because there were no winners that day. Yeah, Alec is going to jail, but it doesn't bring Paul and Maggie back.
That's right.
And Maggie, and people say what they say about Paul, okay, but I'll say this. What happened with Mallory was a tragic, tragic accident, and one that he would have ended up having to answer for had he not been murdered, right? But beyond that, we don't know what he was going to do with his life. He may have gone to jail for a bit and then completely done a whole turnaround and found his path. He was young. There was still possibilities and potential for him.
That's sad. Mm-hmm. That's really sad because just because he did that, look, he was a rich, spoiled ass, rotten little teenager. And that is just the way it goes. It's not like, no malicious. You know what I mean?
That's my favorite part of that whole interrogation, when she just goes real slow. No malicious. And she underlines that shit. Oh,
well,
Sarah.
Let me take a second and just talk about a couple before we go. Just for a second. So, Bianca Devins, if you guys have not heard of that case, I did like a 3-part series with her mother. She was killed by this guy who was obsessed with her. He took photos of it after, posted them online.
I remember this.
Then he put her in a tarp, lays on the tarp, puts a speaker out, starts blaring like 90s like music on a boombox, or like that's what I picture in my head, but I don't know exactly the music. But he starts blaring this like music for her, and he gets a knife, and the police show up, and you can actually see in the police body cam footage him laying on the tarp and stuff. It's awful. But her mother has been haunted by the images of her daughter on Google because Google won't get rid of it. She's changing laws and all kinds of stuff. It's a big thing. So if you guys haven't watched that, you should. And then remember, you guys, Kendrick Johnson. I mean, I don't have his photo anymore, but here's his dad showing that you cannot climb into a mat this way. I have this photo. But that was actually positional when you were talking about Sarah Boone's boyfriend. They said his was positional asphyxiation.
Yeah, it means that you're in such a position. You're in such a position that you're not. There is nothing but your own body and whatever you're squished into, causing you to not be able to get air. Like a suitcase is not airtight. But he could not breathe because his lungs he was so folded, and his diaphragm and all the things were not working.
Right.
So
this is a painting Bianca did, actually. I love that painting of her. She was very talented.
Oh, she is very talented.
Then we have Oakley Carlson. I mean, dear God, that case. She's still missing. She's been missing for a long time. Her parents reported her missing. Like they didn't report her missing for a long time. She had actually been in foster care with this family who loved her so much, and ended up going back to her parents who, are responsible for her life ending, but we just don't know the details of it yet. Because she's never been found. Her brother and sister came forward and said she'd been ate by a wolf. There's her mom. And there's other things, but here's her dad, like before he was a cop. And then this is how he was like around the time that she was reported missing. He lost his job. I don't know if he's on meth or what, but it's, oh God,
he's on something. Wow.
Look at him there. And then this is him and her there. And then here.
Wow.
And yeah, she's never been found still to this day. It's awful.
So sad. There's a case like that here in Florida too. Two parents had a newborn, born addicted, took the baby away. She was raised by a foster parent and given back to the parents, and she ended up dead. They found her in a well, and when I watched the trial, and when her foster mother testified, or is it his foster mother? I cannot remember now. See, there's so many cases. That's so sad. But anyway, when the foster mother testified, it was heartbreaking testimony because she loved that baby and would have and wanted to adopt that baby.
Oh my God, that's awful. See, they could have had nice lives, wasn't Harmony? I believe she was in foster care too, because her brother was adopted by these gay men, and they wanted to adopt Harmony, but she was given back to Adam, who admittedly told his uncle he banged her head around the house and punched her and things. He punched her because she wasn't watching her sibling close enough. She was 5. I mean,
5. I mean, Jesus, that's just so.
I know. And then here, Oren and Orson, that's happening right now. Have you been listening to it at all? You can listen.
Tried. Can you send me the link when you get a chance? Because I keep saying I gotta listen, and then I get distracted with something. But didn't he have like a teardrop tattoo when he was being questioned? Good luck to you with that in prison. That means something completely different than people think it means. Well, originally it meant essentially you were a bitch. And the teardrop was that every single day that you were in prison, you were going to be crying.
Hey,
that's what it originally meant.
Hey, I'm going to hop down because I hear that wind out there. I'm going to go look outside and see what's going on.
I swear to God, you can look outside, but if you go outside, truth teller, I will know from Florida. And you don't want to know.
I'll check in with y'all. Thank you for
stay safe.
I will. Thank you for having me up, Allie. And y'all don't forget, we got tomorrow night. So
yay! I know.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for coming. And you guys go subscribe. She's the best. She will always give you that dose of reality you need.
She sure will. She ain't going to put up with none of your malarkey or entertain no kind of maybe baby that makes no kind of damn sense. And you got to love a person like that.
But I'm no malicious. So
you're no malicious.
Thank you, Tiki.
Okay, good night, y'all.
Bye, babe.
Bye.
Good night. Sorry, I'm running you all through this. You can go too if you want, but I'm almost
No,
done.
I love talking to you. I don't know. I was dead ass tired when I was on earlier, but all of a sudden I seem to have gotten a second wind.
Yay! Well,
watch out now.
That's good. Good, because I pulled up Adam Montgomery's mugshot so we could look really quick. Let's see. Here, he does have a teardrop of freaking internet. Of course, going to take forever to load. Oh my God, he's just scary looking.
Yeah, but that now I don't know. It may have changed, but I know it has changed. But that is the original meaning of it, and I would imagine that there's more than one person in that prison or in that jail where he's at or prison where he will end up who remembers the original meaning of that tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and he's also a baby killer, so he won't have a good time there in prison.
Well, they'll probably have him in solitary confinement. I won't be surprised.
Well, they moved Alec Murdaugh into protective custody as well.
Oh, yeah.
High security or something. I can't remember the exact word for it, but it's essentially, he has to be watched because he's high profile, just like Chris Watts. That still makes me mad.
It's so funny you say that because this is loading. I wanted to get your thoughts on this picture. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know why it hasn't shown up yet because it's on, my overlays. StreamYard's just being it's actually outside the Watts house from that picture that everyone thinks is Nicole Kessinger with the ponytail and stuff.
Oh, yes.
Load.
I see it.
It's being a bitch. Oh, yeah. Okay. There we go. Now, to me, I got to be honest. This picture came from the Peacock documentary. They cleaned up the footage, and I can see her ponytail in this. This is a picture taken of the television. That's it. From the Peacock documentary of the television. And do you see it?
I do see it.
Mm-hmm. And an ear with the sideburn and the little bag on the butt.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like she's carrying like a baby or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not.
Too bad they can't clean it up even more, because I'll tell you right now that it'd be very it's very easy because ponytails with a brunette, we kind of all look similar, but NK had that bald patch, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
From not using a safety word. That's my personal thoughts on it. Is that you know, that was my PSA whenever I used to roast And Kay was like, this is what happens when you don't have a safety word. You wind up with your hair snatched in a bald spot.
Well,
Boy,
I
howdy. You know, and Kay, if you ever want to dispute any of this, you're more than welcome to come on my panel. Call me.
Call me.
Call me.
When you said that earlier with talking to TT about that somebody else, I was laughing. You're so funny. Call me. Come here.
I have to tell you one time where that comes from.
Yeah, you got to tell me. But that does look like a ponytail.
It's a Family Guy episode. You guys all know it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's from whenever Chris was the paper boy for Herbert the Pervert. And they the Griffins went out of town, and he left like 37 messages on the answering machine. And he's like getting nastier and nastier as the it starts out with, I wish that Paperboy would come by and bring me some good news. And at the end, he's all, you're starting to piss me off, you old pigly son of a bitch. Call me.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. That's what I hear whenever I read Sarah Boone's letters, because they're all like, angry. Awaiting your reply, Sarah Boone, call me,
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, this guy, do you remember this guy that came out with the stories about Dylan and all that?
Oh, Papa Roger, yes.
Okay, so, and it was this, he had the video about her being trans, and he's working with the defense or whatever the hell. Today I saw Harsh Reality, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it was pretty funny. He had a post, it was like, I hear that Justin Rodriguez is asking for an apology from me and somebody else. He's like, well, Justin, F you. And then it was it. And I was like,
damn. Well, all right.
Margot says, I have no idea who you are on panel, but I love you already. Here, it's Jin Lu. Let me drop her link. Well, I guess I'm done now. Yeah, I want to. Go subscribe to her. She has a channel, and she's great. And then Truth Teller was up here, and please go subscribe to her too. They're both awesome.
Allie is awesome. So stay subscribed to her.
Well, thank you. Let's see. I think that's all I got in my pictures.
And give her a thumbs up on these videos, you guys, because look, I've been doing some like reading just in between doing other stuff, but the likes on a video do help the creator. They really do. It's nice for us. Number one, it's nice for us to see that people have liked what we've done, because Allie does put a ton of work into everything that she does. Okay. And that's nice. And we like to see it. It also helps our video get our live or the video, whatever content we put out. It also helps it get shared out. It also helps for you guys to get notified. I'm telling you, I used to have the worst problem with my notifications. But then as the likes started to go up, as I started to ask people, because I used to never ask for people to like it, because I would forget. But as the likes started to go up, I noticed it's few and far between people will come in and say, I didn't get notified, So
yeah, I did. Well, I actually tested this just recently on Real Talk, like on my other account. I subscribed for notifications on Real Talk and never got one the other night when I went live over there. So you're dead right. But so liking will change that though. That will make
it does help. It does. It gets you out into the algorithm. YouTube is completely algorithm based. Like, how whenever you're like on Facebook, it's a little bit different, because Facebook, people typically have their mic enabled without actually realizing, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but your mic is always listening. So when you talk about things, it hears it and it gives Facebook suggestions. That's why you see the ads you see sometimes like that, right? That's for Facebook, but YouTube works a lot differently, and it's all algorithm based, and it's based off of interaction. It's the likes, it's the people talking in chat, all of those things. But the likes help. They do help. They go a long way.
Wow, that's
Plus,
so
it's just a nice way, like I like it
Yeah.
whenever I go back and I am in the studio and I see that people are liking what I do, even if they don't comment, if they're just silent watchers, I like that too. But it just lets me know that people are enjoying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Feels
really
good.
do. I agree. It does feel good. Sometimes I don't know, you get some really awesome comments about people, enjoying your videos and stuff. I do, and I know you do too. And it makes you feel so good when you
Yeah,
see that.
especially when you work, I've had I'm very, very lucky. The only comments I ever get that are negative are typically on the West Memphis 3, but I'm used to that because I go back way far with that case, so that doesn't bother me. But I will say this, I'm very fortunate. For the most part, I have the nicest people who leave me comments, but not that they leave me such nice comments. Like, you can tell that they just wanted you to know that,
well thought out.
they enjoyed it. And
Thank you,
sometimes when you're
Lover.
having a bad day and you get that notification and you read that comment, it just makes you feel good.
It absolutely does. And Pointer Lover, you're the best. And thank you so, so much. That's really sweet. Thank you. And Corey says, I'm your algorithm. You guys are the best. I swear. YouTube has been a huge blessing in my life. Just the relationships and the connection because when I first came watching it and stuff, I had just got clean and I didn't have any friends. Just had Bentley, just got clean, and I'm was super lonely. And it's just been so rewarding in that way. So
I've had a blast on YouTube. I mean, I did take that one excursion to Watts Island, and I gotta say, as messed up as that island was, and let's be honest, it was pretty freaking messed up. But out of that, I met some really, really cool, good people. And for the most part, my experience on YouTube has been good, really good, actually.
Yeah, me too. For the most part, I've had a few things too, but
well, yeah, but we all have.
And even my things weren't that bad. Like the shit with back in the day with that sex scandal, that was awful to go through. But like the shit with Heather and all this recently, it never even bothered me. Even the horrible lies they told, it pissed me off, but it didn't bother me like that. I think it's different when your personal life is invaded in a way, versus just drama.
Right. It's different when somebody is, talking about stuff that's for the most part, for most people, very private, personal, and intimate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Damn, I had one more thing I was gonna say. Oh yeah, on the screen, it's little Summer. Look at her.
Oh, look at her. She's so cute. She is. Gosh, I hope there's some resolution to this case. I really do.
The other night,
it just breaks my heart.
Hunter's dad was on Crazy Crime Critters on the farm, and I actually edited some clips of it. I was gonna do a video, and I still might. It really bothered me though, because it's everybody, number one, the story's changed so much. We don't know what the truth is. Number two, we have. Look, I'm not saying Candace did this, but don't you dare. That lady was sitting there saying she thought Hunter made up the twisted tea and Candace wouldn't do that. And it's how do you know? Don't try to change the story. There was 500 people in the chat or something. And it's this is not the truth. And it's frustrating.
It is frustrating because with everything that went on YouTube with that case, the person who was the case, the most important person, Summer, was lost in all of the shenanigans and all of that. And that's why I watched, but I didn't cover it. I stayed away from it because I felt like I don't, and I worry for that case because after everything that's happened, and it's a little bit still happening, I don't understand how we will ever be able to get back to what is important, which is Summer, because there's no way, so much has happened that it's almost impossible to discuss that case without mentioning something that happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
it breaks my heart.
I don't see how you get back to her either, not with all this stuff and Steph. So yes, okay. But this is the thing. There's other channels that aren't just true crime. You know, there's all kinds of channels out there. There's people who just want to talk about YouTubers and their bad behavior, whatever, and that's fine. But like everyone we've been talking about is criminals or victims. Like these people in the channel I just talked about. Well, it's a person who their child was with Candace when her daughter went missing. So it's the father of like a firsthand witness. And he's kind of changing. They're like the story is changing. But with like the trauma and stuff like that, the things that I've been into, like, have oftentimes directly been involved with cases that will sometimes cause problems. And then also, you know, you just have people who are bad people. You trust people and give them private information, or, you know, and they get mad at you. And it's just the name of the game with YouTube. And it's almost impossible to completely avoid. I try, but it's still like, oh, Jen, I moved the thing and you were gone. Isn't it like almost impossible
I fell off.
to avoid?
I don't know what I did.
To an extent, I'll see your oops. But yeah, it's almost hard to avoid it completely. If you avoid
hard.
drama completely, you're friendful, you know?
Well, this is what I've found. For me, personally, what I had to do is not, there are some places I just simply cannot go. And it is just what it is. And I have tried very, 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 very hard to, it's not that I'm not aware, or, you know, I'm aware, but I try not to talk about it on my channel, because I know that all it will take is one time. And it's mainly for me. The same tongue that roasts the criminals exists in this body. I can do it to anybody. I just choose to only do it to the criminals. And that has kept me out of trouble. And I have to say, it has been an excellent, excellent outlet for me. I get to talk shit.
Like roasting criminals. Yeah.
Yes, I get to talk shit. And for the most part, it gets out of me, but nobody gets offended when, you know, I make fun of Chris Watts or Chandler Halderson, or, you know.
Yes. They rooted on
Jody.
Like, yes.
They rooted out. Yes. Tell it. She's the worst. You know, Jody Arias, Courtney Love, you know, that kind of, it's encouraged. So it's a good outlet for me. And then I'm all right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. See, for me, I'm the same. I don't like to, now look, I'll watch some of it, but I just don't want to, and I will not get my personal life twisted up in all of that. It's tough because sometimes I've got friends who get involved, or there's different ways that kind of get you right on that edge of it. And, but I have spoken up and talked about other creators when they have really negatively impacted a case that I'm covering. And that is when the one time that I do get to where I don't even care, and I'll say it, like those videos I showed the other night from Summer's case, and them going down there, like it gets to a point where you're just like, no, stop, because you're making this really bad. And I actually care about these cases. So
what I have learned, Allie, from my 46 years on this planet, and since 2005, 6, 8 maybe is when I started on Facebook. What I've learned is that sometimes when you are attempting to point out an injustice, you actually bring like an audience to the people. Do you know what I mean? And not in a good way. Yeah. And the best, I think that what we as creators did and are doing now, like we did with the Murdaugh case, and we're doing it with the Vallow Daybell case and Stout and West, the West Boys, all these cases. where we're working together and covering different parts of it, and with our, bringing our own special blend to the mix. I think that by us doing that, rather than, I think we all know what the problem is and we all know what the issues are, but I think the only way to fix that is to be the change that we want to see. And I think we are doing it. And I'm actually really proud of us, because I don't think people thought that it could be done. I think true crime had gotten into such a place at some points where, and I'm talking about the true crime that goes live. There's a different true crime drama. The true crime genre that only puts out videos is different, because in that aspect you are a little bit you're a little removed from your audience. There's a different amount of space between the content creator, which I don't even really like that word, but I don't know another word to use, and their audience. But when you're live, there's a different atmosphere. So I don't think people thought that we could do it. That people like us in this part of the true crime, where we do both videos and lives, that it could be done, and we proved everybody wrong. And I think that if we continue to do what we've been doing and just keep going forward with it and don't look back, we recognize what the problems are. We know what we don't want to do or what we don't like to see on the platform. Not just because, even though, yes, Allie and I and Truth Teller and allegedly with Brittany and all of us all have, and Criminality, we all have channels, right? But so do you guys. The difference between us and you is that we put stuff on our channel. But before we ever put things on our channel, we were watching. So especially me, for a long time I was. So I think we all see what the negatives are and what we don't like. And rather than talk about what we don't like, let's just do what we do like and just be I feel like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a little
You're dead
Pollyanna
right,
or whatever.
No, but it's the truth. John Crimes told me this one time, and let me tell you, I just started, and I loved his video on Letitia Stalk. If you guys have never seen that, he gets in a full-on black room. He turns out all the lights. It's all you can see is like his eyes, because he's African-American man. He's so brilliant and he's so artistic, but he gets in there and he tells the story of Gannon with so much passion and heart and anger
I
and
have
fury.
to watch
And
that.
Oh, Jen, you got to watch it. And actually, I'm going to grab the link now so you guys can watch it if you haven't. But so I messaged under the video and I was like, would you come on for an interview? And he was
that's what I like about you, Allie. You'll get right out there and you will say, hey, you want to come over here and talk? Where I will stand back for a while and watch. I'm afraid to reach out. I don't know what that is with me, but I do have some nerves about that. So, yeah.
That's why I said I'll reach out to Stephen Smith's mom. But this time it was like this was my first creator interview, because I used to do those all the time. Truth Teller loves John too. She said, but so I messaged, I was like, would you do an interview with me? I would love to talk to you about all the cases. And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, wait, what? I had like not even 1,000, or maybe just over 1,000, like could just go live. And he was like, and just started doing those videos with Sherilyn. And he said, when I had a smaller channel, I would have loved for somebody with he had like 25,000 subscribers. He's like, I would have loved for somebody bigger to work with me. He's like, but that's really rare. And I've always been told to be the change you want to see in the world. He's like, so yes, I'll be there when. And I was like, oh my God, yes. But now we're friends. I love him.
See, I love that. I think that is true. You should be the change you want to see in the world. I'll admit there was points, not so much obvious. Well, we're barely into 2023, but let's be honest, some shit has happened. But mainly 2022. 2022 was a really, really rough year in the true crime community. There was a lot. And I kept seeing it and I couldn't turn away, because to be honest, I kept wanting to see how it was going to end. But then I realized it's not. And what it was doing is it was so toxic that it made me not be creative. Like, I don't know if it's an Aquarius thing, or just a Gen Lu thing. But when I'm in a funk or things are not right, it's very, very difficult for me to be creative. And what I have found with YouTube is all through school, I was artistic. I loved music. I loved to draw. I loved to paint. I loved to sculpt, all the things, right? Took art, all the things. But then I became a mom real young, and it's really, you can't really do all those things when you have 3 kids under 3 years old. You know what I mean? That's hard. But when I came to YouTube and I started making videos and stuff, and it became an outlet for me to be creative. And when I started like getting too sucked into the toxicity, just watching it, I realized that it was like stifling my muchness and making me not want to be creative. And I was like, no, I gotta make a change. And I tried like talking about it, and that didn't work. So then I was like, okay, I'm just going to try being the change that I want to see. And so I would go into all of the chats and be supportive, and, and I got a whole different vibe that way. It made me feel better. I mean, I know it's kind of like, it sounds like a nice thing to do, but low key, it was kind of selfish because it made me feel better. I don't know.
Well, you know what I noticed? I could see that in you, because you always try to be positive towards everyone, try to help, try to solve things, try to make things like the issues stop. Anytime you've ever like gotten on a panel during a drama or something, it's always been to like, you guys get it together. Okay. You know what I mean? And try to,
you're showing your whole ass, and ain't nobody need to see that right now. This is not helping.
Yes.
Yeah, I do try.
Crime Curious, I had never seen that video of Albert. That was really cool. And I came in after you had already started, so I had to go back and watch it. But
I thought that video was so powerful. And I'll say this, it's real easy for us to look at Albert in a negative light, right? And do all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. But I'll tell you, none of us, even me with this sharp ass tongue, can make Albert feel any worse than he already does. And that's the truth. And I really think that if any of us were in that situation and our lives were under a microscope and every decision we've ever made was analyzed in that way, I think people would be side-eyeing the shit out of us. Do you know what I mean? That we would all be judged. We've all done things. We've all made wrong decisions. We've all had 1,001s. Well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, differently. But, this is how I feel about it. Whatever guilt he has or whatever is between him and whatever you guys believe, whatever his higher power is, right? For me, I would say God, but, I know not everybody feels that way, and that's I don't judge. But if what he's saying is not true, or if he's being disingenuous or whatever, the universe, I promise you, because I've seen it happen with my own eyes, the universe always fixes things. It may not be the way we want it fixed. It may not be in the time we want it fixed, but believe me, the universe fixes things both ways. The universe punishes people who deserve to be punished and rewards people who deserve to be rewarded. It just doesn't always come in the way you expect. I guess I should say that's the best way to put it, or when you want it, either.
Yeah. Night, Allie, and thank you. All right, let me show you a second of this. And I agree with you. And
okay.
It's scary. That's karma, basically. And karma is real, and the universe does. If you put bad out there, you're getting bad back, period. I agree. I got you. You got to see this though. So it's very artistic approach to true crime. It's factual, but he uses, I'll just show you. He gets so passionate. It's very
well,
good.
You know me. I love the artistic stuff.
I think you're gonna love this. She, Crime Curious said you made her feel better. Sometimes people act like I'm breaking into people's houses, stealing public videos out of their underwear drawer. Oh my gosh, they tell you that? No, you are not. You're bringing
No,
awareness
you're
to
not.
Gannon.
Look,
That's ridiculous.
here's the thing. We know what happened with Gannon, and we cannot go back and save Gannon. But what we can learn from those dynamics may save the next child. That's how I think about it.
Yep, you're exactly
That's why
right.
that's why I cover the cases that I cover, to try and learn so that maybe we can prevent it from happening again. I know we're not going to get rid of it altogether, but maybe something one of us says on one of these panels or in one of these chats one time will click with somebody, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh,
Yep.
There's a red flag in a real life situation," right? And they'll say something. You know what I mean? Maybe they didn't realize it was a red flag, but because of something one of us said somewhere on these YouTube streets, whether it was in a chat or on a panel, will resonate with them. And that's my goal, really.
Yep. And not only that, Crime Curious, I'll tell you, anytime I've talked to Landon, number one, she always thanks me for telling Gannon, like talking about Gannon, because I used to make a lot of TikToks and I've put them over here. And like, even the other day when I reached out to her, she still, thank you so much. And she told me, because I've talked to her about like if she will ever speak out and things like that. And she said she wants his story told for everywhere. She's not doing it because of the trial, but when it's over, she's going to be writing a book and going and telling it everywhere she can. This was like a few months ago, so I don't know if she still feels the same, but I know that she does want the story told because she just thanked me again the other day. So you're literally doing what his own mom wants. Truly.
Exactly.
That's just the
and
truth.
That's wonderful. And look, co-parenting with blended families is normal now. I mean, you know what I mean? Back when I was a kid, I was born in 77, but raised in the 80s, there were not as many parents that were divorced as there are now, and there weren't as many blended families, but there were. But now there are more, and there are things that parents who are dating or in relationships, when there becomes a blended family, there are problems that can arise. And I think the way that you overcome the problems is by learning. I think I'm a big proponent of, if you know better, you can do better. And I think these kind of dynamics have to be studied, and we have to educate. Look how far we've come with SA and child abuse. Really, it used to be such a taboo subject. It's not that it didn't happen. These aren't new crimes. They're just crimes that we talk about now, and we've educated ourselves, and we've educated, our children, and that's what we're supposed to do. So I think it's a good thing. If you don't understand the dynamics, you can't figure out you got to know why. So maybe you can prevent it.
Yes. Even like studying people like Chris Watts and stuff like that to figure out why and what in the hell went wrong there. Bye, Riddler. Good night. Ava says, I ran crazy from my case for a while. I was very lucky to have someone reach a hand out that was willing to be the voice. I don't even know that, Ava, what it is. What you guys do, I could never do. You all are making a difference. Thank you, Ava. That's sweet.
Thank you.
But, yeah, I didn't know. And I'm sorry.
I didn't know that either. I'm
happened.
sorry. Whatever happened, exactly.
Okay, here we go real quick. Let's see.
Far on the East Coast. She's not in Colorado. You're talking about Al because you won't be searching for his phone. You'll already know.
He's talking to Letitia like the whole video almost. It's like very like.
It is. 40 minutes after arriving home, his father would text him again. Hey, buddy. This time, Al will not receive an answer. Your daughter will arrive home shortly after 4 p.m. and as soon as she arrives home, you will tell her to take Lana away. You need to clean up something? Because when your daughter arrives at 4:14 p.m. and picks up Lana 10 minutes later, you will text your daughter telling her to buy carpet cleaner, trash bags, and baking soda. The picture that you showed of Gannon that morning, the bed. But I caught something you said. You said, let's do what Gannon would do. Be kind to one another. So you knew how kind Gannon was, and you still splattered his blood across the room. What world do we live in today? Until his baby sister comes in the house. They're going to take the blood evidence. They're going to take your Google searches. They're going to take your random gajillion lies. Everything that you would have given a judge for him to make a decision on the rest of your life. But they're going to take that same logical evidence that you would have given a judge, those 12 jurors are only going to add on top of that the emotions. This magnitude, every parameter must be checked to make sure before we decide as a society to end someone's life using our judicial system.
All right, I'm going to share the link with y'all, though. But anyways, you kind of get the vibe of
That's
it.
some powerful. That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right.
Oh, my God, he's so good.
He's right about the things. See, when you watch somebody multiple times, right, you notice different things. Look at how many things, different things I've picked up from watching Sarah Boone 11 billion times. And I'm starting to get that way with Letitia. What I would really like to get my paws on are the letters that she wrote signed as different people. Those are the ones I'd really like to get my hands on to do the. I mean, obviously, I want to do the dramatic reading, but also because I want to read them. And
I've never seen those. I don't think
because
I've only seen the Dr. T ones.
Yeah, I would imagine like Sarah Boone's. They're very, very telling. If you notice with Sarah, it's very important. Numbers are very important to her. Time is very important to her. She writes them all over and over and over. Like this woman has counted the days, the hours, and the minutes. In one of her letters, she added up what time her court-appointed, and this is Bankowitz at that time, her current attorney, had spent with her versus what he has billed the state. And the only way that she could know that is if somebody were telling her, because that is on the on her, like under her case file on the Orange County clerk.
Wait, so who would have told her?
Somebody could have written it to her. Anybody. She's writing to somebody because she referenced professional YouTubers and court TV. And I know she doesn't have access to all of that where she's at, but somebody's telling her. She had somebody reach out through phone and email to Bankowitz, so to get a hold of him. So at the end of the day, somebody's and that's fine that somebody is talking to her. Cool. But those things are important to her. And you can start to see how she fixates on certain things. And it's part of who she is. So understanding that, you know what I mean? Just because I think her case, all these cases to me on some level in different ways are very, very fascinating. Leticia, where I'm so incredibly frustrated with her is I don't understand the psychiatrist giving her a DID diagnosis. I don't understand it. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I read and watch a ton of things, and DID happens to be something that I've always been interested in, and I've been fascinated, and I've read a lot about. And what from what I understand about those letters that she signed with different names, I can't think of a single case of DID where the person has their alters have different have all have different first names. That's normal, but they all have the same last name. That is, I've not ever heard of that. Does it mean it's impossible? I suppose. I guess nothing is truly impossible, but is it probable? I don't think so. I feel like it would have come up in everything that I've ever seen or read about that particular subject. And I just don't understand it. And I just don't understand her. And
I don't either.
How
did they do? I did not know there was a DID diagnosis. Was because I know hers just came back, and I know that it was not like she was stable, but I didn't know.
Okay, so Crime Curious and I have talked about this together, and she is just an incredible wealth of knowledge, not just on this case, but just generally speaking. I really enjoy Crime Curious. I have to say, I kind of fangirl a little bit. I'm not going to lie, and that's very rare for me to say. I think Allie will tell you I'm not usually like that, but I really do. I do. I really do enjoy. Yeah, I really enjoy her. And we were talking about it, and she had mentioned on Criminality's panel this documentary that the psychiatrist for the defense that was evaluating Letitia, and the show or the documentary is on HBO. It's called or HBO Max. It's Crazy Not Insane, which is really apropos because you remember I told you about this.
Yes, I remember. Yes. I need to write this down so I can make sure to watch it.
You got to watch it. It's really good because it's really it's the meaning of the title is really the way that we think of the legal. It's really about the legal definition versus the clinical definition. But long story short, this psychiatrist is an incredibly intelligent woman, and she's done a ton of studies and worked with the courts, et cetera, et cetera. Her main field really was, or not field, I shouldn't say, but what she really did later on after she had conducted some studies was she spoke to criminals and evaluated them, and she was really for mitigation. She was the person who came in and spoke after somebody had been convicted, but they were in the sentencing phase, so deciding whether they would get life or the death penalty, and that's what she did. And she is a psychiatrist that believes that dissociative identity disorder exists. It's a real diagnosis. Are some psychiatrists that don't. That in and of itself is a little bit controversial.
Is this the picture of the?
Yep, that's it. That's it.
Okay, because I have all these. I pay for too many streaming services, but I'll watch it it's on HBO, Hulu, and Prime, or you can pay for it on YouTube, but I ain't paying. Yeah.
There you go.
I used to do YouTube Premium, but I don't do that anymore because I don't know. I just don't want to waste the money on it. Do you do it?
I'm on a share account. I'm on a shared account, so I got lucky like that. But I pay it forward because I have the streaming services, so I share those. So it's like give and take.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
perfect.
But it's a very good documentary, and once she talked about it, I was like, I'm going to go watch it. I watched it more than once because I wanted to understand it. And after you watch so anyway, during the jury selection process, in the first couple of days, there was the defense and the prosecution gave like a mini opening statement. So the defense it's their turn. They only get 2 minutes, but they mentioned Dr. Lewis, which is her name. And then they said that Dr. Lewis will tell you that Letitia Stout has DID and that she was in a psychotic break, I believe is the term that they used to describe at the time of the murder. But none of that and let's just say for argument's sake that's a valid that I agree with that diagnosis, okay? But that's the definition of insanity under the law is very different than the clinical one. And I don't understand. I'm gonna have to research Colorado more, because in Texas, I know that if you do anything to hide or conceal your crime in any way, shape, or form, one lie, cleaning up of any sort, whatever it is, it negates the insanity defense. And so you're not allowed to use it. That's what I'm so baffled by with Letitia, because if she's saying, it's also weird because she's always said in the very beginning, remember, it was, she didn't do this at all. But a not guilty by reason of insanity defense is you're acknowledging that you committed the crime, but you shouldn't go to prison because, and that's what I don't understand. And that's what I'm struggling. I'm just annoyed by I understand she has the right to a defense and all the things. But yeah, it just, I don't know, talking about it with it's a mess, and I don't understand it, and I'm frustrated by it because I think that Letitia is playing games, and I respect the justice system, but I don't have patience for people who waste the time of the justice system, and I feel like that's what she's doing. This is more than like Letitia deserves the right to a fair trial. That's a given. That's not my issue.
Right.
I feel like she's playing games and wasting time and money and resources.
Because, and I'll tell you why, because I can read her like a damn book. She cannot face what she's done. She couldn't even show up for court. She refused many times, but she is going to have such a tough time showing up and standing there in front of Al and Landon and everybody, and then everyone hearing what she's done. You can just tell she's that kind of person, and she doesn't have the nerve, just like Chris Watts. They are just
cowards.
Are not going to be able to.
And see, that's the thing about Letitia. Does she not? She claims she's so intelligent, right? If you don't want everybody to know every single detail of what you did, take a plea deal. Because if you don't take a plea deal, it's coming out in the trial, which is exactly, in my opinion, why Chris Watts took the plea deal, because he did not want those details coming out. He did not want people to know what kind of a monster he really was. And I firmly, firmly, firmly believe that if there had been a trial, or even not, if by some miracle more discovery came out, which the parts that would show those details will never come out because they're part of the autopsy and stuff that they don't typically release anyway. But if that did come out, I think people that have any type of doubt, it would be completely erased if they knew those details. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, how are we going to do this? Where we're going to have, because I want every single detail of both Stalk and Vallow, and I don't know how.
Well, I'll say this: the way that I understand it is that Vallow is going to, whatever happens, we won't get it till the next day.
Right.
All that audio.
Okay.
So
I was curious if it would be that night. It will definitely be the next day.
I don't know if it's definitely the next day, but it won't be in real time. There will be a definite delay. I just don't know what the delay will be. So once we know what the delay is going to be, we're all just going to have to work as a team. There's no way that you and I, or if it was just me, let's say it was just me, or let's say it was just you. There's no way that even if I had Vallow on the TV and Stalk on the phone or reversed, there's no way watching both of those simultaneously that I would be able to get every single detail. It's impossible. You cannot watch two things at the same time and know all the things.
Yep.
You just can't. We're gonna have to work together as a team and like in shifts or something.
I know. Well, at least we know. Okay, you're gonna stream it, right?
Yes, I'm gonna stream Stalk
and Letitia because it's okay. So we'll be able to. I'll be in there with you because I'm gonna do a thing every night at like 8:00. So I'll be watching with you every day, and then I guess that night,
We'll
or in the meantime,
yeah,
in
we'll
between,
figure
we'll
it out
try
with
to,
Lori,
yeah.
or maybe we can like split. We can do like half of the show can be Letitia and half of the show can be Valo. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. And I will definitely be coming to your nighttime shows, because if I'm doing this streaming, I have to talk. I have to give commentary in order for it to be considered fair use. But if I'm talking, I can't be listening at the same time. I can't even talk and type at the same time. I can do it on my phone. I just can't do it when I'm at the laptop for some reason. But anyway, there's just no other. That's why I'm saying I'm so proud of us, because for us to be able to even watch these trials, even if we were just watching, we would.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
We're going to need all hands on deck. It is, I'm just so, I'm glad.
I am too, but I'm excited because I'm very interested in knowing these details and doing it with you guys and all of that. But Crime Curious, I wonder, do you know around what time you'll do that on Thursday? Because I'm going to do mine at 8, but I will adjust on Thursdays if like that's, so let me know what time that will be.
Yes.
Plus,
and I'll share it
similar,
out.
And me too, yeah.
But Thursday would also be a good, if we can work with Crime Curious, if she's going to do the Thursday night review and with the attorney, if you guys have not checked that out, you should. Her channel is good anyways, but
yes, it is.
The streams with the attorney, he will answer the question before you actually even think of he answered so many things before I could even put it in the chat. It's like he was in my brain, which was kind of scary for me. Y'all know it's very cluttered up there, but he's a wealth of knowledge.
I won't probably do it on Thursday anyway. I forgot because they don't have court Thursday.
Right.
So, I mean.
So what we could do is work around Crime Curious's schedule for Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain. So that's 8 o'clock our time, Allie. And we could use that day to do Valo too, to go deeper into Valo. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
To catch up on the catch up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we can do.
And Nadine will be putting out summaries of stuff too, so we'll be able to kind of follow along a little bit as we go. I'm excited. All right, we're
going to be busy.
But I'm so
Me too.
In everything we talk about, so I'm sitting here so tired. But
I know, me too. I know, me too. I'm like, I need to go to bed. I've got shit. I didn't even do my toast tonight. Now that's the next thing I got to do. I'm in trouble.
Me too.
Everybody, I got to tell you, Allie, so many people have participated in that. I think we had such a good idea. I'm so proud of us. Do you know, I've gotten so many emails, so many pictures. I just am so proud of all of us.
One last post. I don't think I've gotten any, but I'm really bad at keeping up with emails.
This is why I suggested to email me, because I do keep up with them. I don't know why I'm good at that.
Well, I need to do a post for people to, if they any last people, to send it to you. Maybe you can do a community post and I'll share it or something like that.
Okay. Well, share. I have one. Just do it. Oh, well, I guess I would need to update it because I said by midnight tonight. I need them. I mean, I guess I can extend it to noon tomorrow. But after that, I can't take anymore because I got to have time to put it together. And I never like the first product. So it'll take me a minute, you guys, because I want this to be something that, we can all be proud of. And, we'll let the family know, hey, he's not forgotten and we support you.
Awesome. Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. We talked with TT on here, which I loved, for a while about Stephen. Then we went through so many cases. Then we ended up with just general. Oh, how fun though. It was really interesting. So thank you guys for being here. And thank you for coming up.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you did.
Me too. I always have a good time with you.
I was like, I'm going to send it to you too, just in case, because you guys had just ended your life together. And I know that you cared a lot about the case. And I just thought, yeah, I will just in case you have something you want to add.
I always do. I'm a mess. Well, good night.
Good.
Thank you so much, babe. All right.
Thank
I will
you,
talk
and
to you
thank you guys in
tomorrow.
the chat. Yes, I'll talk to you
Okay.
tomorrow, and you guys, I'm gonna in the chat. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, and yeah.
All right. Bye,
I love you guys, and
everybody.
good night.
Good night. Bye.